adaptation to facing a formidable enemy. Although Yichuan detected no abnormalities, he remained on high alert. After all, in such an environment, something threatening could emerge at any moment. He held a great fondness for these three S-grade pets. Suddenly, as they progressed, Wang Kai, leading the way, barked alertly, causing Yichuan to furrow his brow and come to a gradual halt. A rustling sound emanated from the dense thicket ahead, hinting that something dangerous was drawing near, prompting even the three companions to instinctively retreat a few steps. Is that a python? Moments later, after about 10 seconds, Yichuan's eyes widened at the sight of a colossal creature slithering from the low bushes. Chapter 107, Battle of Man and Python, Snake Stew. Before him lay a 12 to 13 meter long reticulated python, as thick as an adult's thigh, slowly emerging from the underbrush. It then reared up, repeatedly flicking its forked tongue at Yichuan, exuding an overwhelming aura of intimidation. System, is this massive python venomous? Yichuan quietly withdrew his crossbow and whispered his inquiry to the system. Reticulated python, the longest and most powerful constrictor in the world. It is aggressive, highly combat-capable, non-venomous, and a man-eater. The system promptly elucidated. Goodness, is it truly that formidable? Yichuan was taken aback, realizing that a peaceful resolution was no longer feasible. With that thought, he hesitated not a moment longer and launched the first attack, unleashing 8 crossbow bolts within 3 seconds, striking fiercely at the reticulated python. The reticulated python, despite its colossal size, exhibited remarkable agility. It swiftly reared its body to one side, evading the onslaught of 8 crossbow bolts, only to find another 8 poised to strike. What astonished Yichuan was that 5 of the bolts merely penetrated the python's skin, inflicting minimal damage, which only served to heighten the creature's ferocity. With a gaping maw, it lunged ferociously at Yichuan. Come! Yichuan roared, leaping high and bringing his mountain-splitting knife down upon the python's head. The impact was so forceful that it left Yichuan's hands slightly numb, yet the sharp blade sunk 5 centimeters into the python's skull. The pain elicited a violent thrashing from the python, which retaliated with a massive tail swipe aimed at Yichuan. With a low growl, Yichuan exerted himself, wrenching the knife from the snake's head and leaping aside. Undeterred, the python attempted another strike. Its tail, now perilously close to its own head, lashed out at Yichuan with terrifying speed. Bang! This time, Yichuan stood his ground, clenched his fists, and unleashed a combat technique, delivering a powerful blow that met the python's tail with ferocity. The once unstoppable tail faltered against Yichuan's might. Sensing its pain and realizing it could not gain the upper hand against this human, the python turned to flee without a second thought. Could this be a sentient reticulated python? Yichuan was taken aback. Having already let 2 hyenas escape previously, he could not afford to let this giant slip away. Resolute, he pursued it immediately. Suddenly, Wang Kai burst forth, clutching an iron spear, and thrust it fiercely into the retreating python's tail. Although the spear did not inflict harm upon the serpent's body, the sharp pain drove the python to desperation. With a swift motion, it turned its head and opened its gaping maw, aiming a vicious bite at Wang Kai. Come! Seizing the opportunity, Yichuan bellowed. His mountain-splitting knife once more aimed at the same spot on the python's head, driving deeper into the already existing wound. With a total depth of 10 centimeters, the blade penetrated the python's skull, prompting another violent thrash from the creature. Perhaps the blade was embedded too deeply. As Yichuan found himself unable to withdraw the knife immediately, he was compelled to take cover, while the python continued to roll recklessly, its tail smashing through several trees with diameters of over 20 centimeters. Yichuan and the 3 small companions took refuge, astonished. Despite the severity of the blows, this creature still clung to life with remarkable tenacity. To truly end this beast, one must strike at its vital point. It seemed that only by targeting this giant's crucial weakness could its life be extinguished. After a brief analysis, Yichuan crafted a pure metal spear and charged toward the reticulated python with determination. The reticulated python, in excruciating pain, had lost all semblance of reason. Upon seeing Yichuan approach, it lunged forward with a fierce hiss, which was precisely what Yichuan desired. He stood his ground, advancing boldly, and with all his might, thrust his spear deep into the python's vital point. In an instant, the spear pierced through the python's body, embedding itself deeply. Despite its momentum, the creature soon lost all strength, collapsing to the ground, its massive form sliding forward several meters before finally coming to a halt, lifeless. Yichuan mused to himself, pondering whether this creature was akin to a B-grade marine organism. Circling the fallen python, he inquired of the system if this reticulated python was edible. The system responded affirmatively. stating it could indeed be made into a nourishing snake soup. Delighted by this revelation, Yichuan promptly began to process the giant serpent, ensuring it was thoroughly cleaned before temporarily storing it in the system's inventory. He then resumed his exploration, accompanied by his 3 small companions. While he did not locate any lychee mushrooms, he did find a considerable quantity of black-skinned chicken mushrooms in the shade of several large trees, yielding a modest bounty. However, the 2 hyenas remained elusive, prompting Yichuan to abandon his search and exit the forest. Casting a glance at the sea, he noted that the ice layer had thickened to 5 centimeters. However, this was merely a light drizzle for the sea turtles. The turtles now appeared as makeshift icebreakers, leaving behind a long trail of broken ice resembling a vast river. The retrieval of supply crates remained unaffected for both dolphins and turtles, as his small companions managed to haul out the crates from the icy depths with sheer brute strength. With a sense of relief, Yichuan extracted the giant python from his inventory, retrieving a snake gall the size of an egg and cutting away 5 pounds of snake meat, which he diced into cubes a few centimeters in size. After briefly frying them, he infused the ingredients with aromatic scallions, ginger, and garlic, added nearly 20 pounds of fresh water, and commenced a slow simmer with various spices. However, with over 1,000 pounds of python meat still remaining, Yichuan decided to put all of it on the market. 200 g of python meat for 5 wooden boards, 200 g for 5 metal sheets, and 200 g for 5 stones. Additionally, he could exchange the scarce resources for even more python meat, with the quantity determined by the value of the resources offered. In no time, the public chat room erupted in astonishment. Mother of mercy, someone is selling python meat? What reticulated python, Burmese python, amethyst python? These are formidable creatures. It seems there is more than one formidable individual on this island. There is also the possibility that this expert possesses a powerful weapon. Otherwise, it would be impossible to achieve such a feat single-handedly. I have never tasted python meat in my life. With a fire available, grilling some snake meat would be exquisite. Yes, I must hurry to make a trade, otherwise it may be gone. At that moment, a private message popped up. Boss, I have something extraordinary that I believe could be exchanged for 50 kilograms of python meat. Chapter 108. Trading rare items, a small windfall. Really? That's impressive. This statement genuinely startled Yichuan, who promptly replied, I am quite intrigued. The other party immediately placed a card into the trading slot. What do you think? A triple value card? Yichuan was taken aback. Indeed, you can apply it to anything, and upon usage, its value will triple. The other person responded, I only asked for 50 kilograms of python meat from you. It seems I am requesting less than I should, right? Yichuan chuckled, as he possessed a similar card himself. He placed his card into the trading slot as well. Did you see that? I have one too. I believe this item isn't particularly valuable. How do you have one? The other party was stunned. That is not something you need to know. Yichuan replied nonchalantly. If you are willing, I will part with 30 kilograms of python meat. If not, it's no matter, business or not, integrity remains. Yichuan was indeed intrigued by the triple value card, yet he was reluctant to trade too much python meat for it. Ultimately, he thought, it wouldn't be a loss if he didn't acquire it. Fine. Then let us settle on 30 kilograms of python meat. After some deliberation, the other party eventually agreed. Once Yichuan listed the python meat, they completed the transaction seamlessly. Gazing at the triple value card, Yichuan pondered for a moment and then inquired, System, if I use a triple value card on another triple value card, will I end up with an additional card? Please note, a triple value card cannot affect similar items. It can only be applied to different items. The system promptly responded. If I apply one to a Friday card, wouldn't I then possess 2 Friday cards? Yichuan continued. Be advised, the additional 2 Fridays will serve identical functions to the original Friday card, the system replied again. This meant that the newly acquired Fridays would primarily assist in field management and wouldn't truly contribute elsewhere. Thus, whether he used it or not became inconsequential. After trading a few more items, Yichuan was about to depart when he noticed a message from Wang Sanrui. Friend, I still have 2 island expansion cards, a complete set of toiletries, and a crossbow. How much python meat can I exchange for them? What constitutes a complete set of toiletries? Yichuan inquired. 2 tubes of toothpaste, 6 toothbrushes, a razor, a hair clipper, 2 bars of soap, and a large bottle of shampoo, Wang Sanrui replied. This was provided by the owner of a subsidiary island, and I've hesitated to use it. This item is more valuable to me than the island expansion cards. Yichuan murmured quietly, then quickly responded, 50 kilograms of python meat. Isn't that a bit low? Wang Sanrui frowned, clearly conflicted. The current situation in the novice area had become increasingly dire, especially with the weather turning colder. In a few days, it seemed unlikely that resource boxes would be forthcoming. He now merely wishes to endure this frigid weather, and food is undeniably the most precious resource. The items you possess are worth 50 kilograms of python meat. If you are willing to trade, let us proceed. Otherwise, it is of no consequence. Yi Chuan sent a smiling emoji, for in such extreme conditions, sustenance and water are paramount, are they not? Very well, I shall trade. Wang Sanrui gritted his teeth and promptly completed the transaction with Yi Chuan. Afterward, Wang Sanrui pondered for a moment and sent a message to the auxiliary assistant of the island lord. I have acquired 30 kilograms of python meat. Inform the subordinate island lords that they can trade with any resources. Our internal pricing is considerably cheaper than what that trading panel offers. You are exceedingly generous to us. The auxiliary assistant of the island lord replied, his expression shifting with excitement. We are all comrades. Of course, I must consider your needs. Wang Sanrui responded, adding that rare items would yield even more python meat. Very well, I shall relay this good news to them at once. The auxiliary assistant promptly set about notifying others. Yi Chuan then examined the toiletry set and couldn't help but smile. Since entering the oceanic realm, he could only wash his face with water and had not utilized soap for bathing, let alone brushed his teeth. His breath was likely foul enough to fell a bull. At that moment, Yi Chuan extracted his toothpaste and toothbrush, meticulously brushing his teeth and feeling an invigorating freshness. Even his previously somewhat yellowed teeth appeared remarkably white. The toothpaste and toothbrush from the ocean world seemed to possess a cleansing efficacy several times that of ordinary earth products. Truly miraculous. After deliberation, Yi Chuan divided another tube of toothpaste into 4 portions of 30 grams each and retrieved 4 toothbrushes, trading them to Blueberry Jam and 3 other girls. While men might not mind, women possess an innate inclination towards beauty. Having gone so long without brushing their teeth, they must be in distress. Sure enough, Blueberry Jam immediately sent a flurry of horrified emojis. Wow, toothpaste and toothbrush. What kind of celestial brother are you, managing to procure these? Surprised, are you? Yi Chuan inquired with a smile. Not merely surprised, I am utterly astonished. Blueberry Jam exclaimed with excitement. I feel as though I am dreaming. I haven't brushed my teeth in a month, and the sensation is more unbearable than death. I just traded for them, thinking the girls would surely need this. Yi Chuan replied with a smile. I desperately need it. I must rush to brush my teeth. Blueberry Jam sent a toothy grin emoji and ceased her replies. The other 3 girls were equally astounded, with Liang Hongying skeptically asking, these items are priceless treasures in this vast ocean world. How did you acquire them? I traded for them with python meat, Yi Chuan replied. Is the python meat on the trading interface listed by you? Liang Hongying was taken aback. You actually killed a python? I have also slain wild boars, hyenas, and orcas. Killing a python is hardly remarkable, is it? Yi Chuan offered a smile, leaving Liang Hongying at a loss for words. Ultimately, she responded to him with a thumbs-up emoji. At that moment, she finally understood why he was the sovereign of an independent island, while she could only be his subordinate. Indeed, one cannot compare people with one another. After a brief interval of over 10 minutes, as the snake soup neared completion, Yi Chuan added some black-skinned chicken mushrooms and salt, before serving it up 10 minutes later. Each person received a portion. Zhao Feiyu, equally astonished, inquired, so that giant python was slain by you? Indeed, I ventured into the woods and encountered this fellow, Yi Chuan replied. I too have explored the woods, but found little, mostly just some birds. Zhao Feiyu responded, speculating that perhaps the woods were too small. Upon hearing this, Yi Chuan promptly placed an island area expansion card in the trading panel. You still possess an island area expansion card? Zhao Feiyu exclaimed in surprise. I managed to draw one, but have not drawn another since. This one was exchanged for python meat, Yi Chuan replied. You can utilize another one. Let us assess the situation tomorrow. Sure, Zhao Feiyu replied without hesitation. Yi Chuan had long since garnered immunity to Zhao Feiyu's gratitude. All that could be done now was to repay him with actions in the future. After exchanging a few more words with others, Yi Chuan began to savor the snake soup while perusing the public chat messages. Emergency. Emergency. I've spotted someone lurking in the water, observing my island. Isn't everything frozen? How can someone emerge from the water to spy? Are you hallucinating? It's true. This individual has drilled a hole in the ice and is half emerged. How is this even possible? This is unsettling. You must be joking, right? It's a mermaid. Goodness. They can walk with their tail fin and are swimming towards me. What should I do? Are they going to kill me? Oh my. Is this real? I suggest you hide quickly. Where is everyone? Why the silence? Until Yi Chuan finished his snake soup, the individual did not utter another word. While others dismissed it as a prank, Yi Chuan understood that the situation was indeed grave. The island master was likely in dire peril. However, Yichuan found himself perplexed by the merfolk's desire to enter the novice zone. Was it merely to run in and kill? They could easily target seasoned island masters instead of engaging with novices. Yet, it seemed the matter was far more complex. The only way to comprehend it fully was to encounter another mermaid. After warning his 7 companions to remain vigilant, Yichuan chose not to say more. After all, if an encounter with a mermaid did occur, even Zhao Feiyu might only face a bitter end. It would be delightful if we could find a way to gather everyone together. Not only would it ensure safety, but it would also alleviate loneliness, achieving a perfect balance. However, this notion remains but a dream for now, as everyone is unaware of each other's coordinates. Otherwise, we could simply deploy an albatross to bring them over. Perhaps in the future, with the advent of satellites or similar technology, this will become a reality. Observing the flourishing surroundings, Yichuan entered the greenhouse to take a look. The coconut tree has now grown to about 5 meters, reaching the top of the greenhouse. However, it seems that this coconut tree has reached its height, already blossoming with white flowers. As for the matter of pollination, that would require consultation with Friday. The peach tree, pear tree, and apple tree have also grown nearly 2 meters tall and are on the verge of budding flowers. It appears they too face the challenge of pollination. This poses a significant problem. If mishandled, all previous efforts could go up in smoke. Friday, Yichuan called out as he exited the flower bed. Brother Chuan, what are your instructions? Friday promptly approached him. I see these fruits are about to bloom. How do you plan to pollinate the flowers? Yichuan inquired. I will personally take care of the pollination. Friday replied directly. You? Yichuan gazed at Friday in astonishment. You have that capability? I possess knowledge of all operations related to plants. That is the very essence of my existence, Friday stated earnestly. Rest assured, Brother Chuan, in at least 10 days, you will be able to enjoy delicious coconut water, and within a fortnight, you shall partake in the other 3 fruits. What if we add nutrient solution? Yichuan pondered and asked again. The maturation period I mentioned is based on the assumption that nutrient solution is included, Friday responded. Oh, and by the way, those dozen sunflowers have also reached maturity. They are growing quite rapidly, and the sunflower seeds will be ready for harvest in no more than 5 days. You are doing splendidly. Listening to Friday's report, Yichuan's smile remained constant. Truly, he is an expert in field management. It appears he need not worry about these plants any longer and can simply await the harvest. In such circumstances, if he were to have a culinary robot at his disposal, wouldn't he that allow him to relax for a while? He could only hope that when he checks in next, he might receive a chef tool. That would be fantastic. After wandering around and sensing everything proceeding in an orderly manner, Yichuan contemplated and called out to the dolphin. Boom. In an instant, the ice layer was shattered, and the dolphin leaped out of the sea, repeatedly closing its mouth towards Yichuan. Perhaps due to the freeze, the dolphin had not interacted with Yichuan for the past couple of days and was now exhibiting extraordinary affection. You can now dive to the nearby seabed and investigate whether there are any mining resources in the vicinity, Yichuan instructed. As he spoke, Yichuan took out the previously acquired flammable ice and showed it to the dolphin. From now on, whenever we reach a new location, dive to the seabed and search for anything unusual. Inform me immediately if you discover anything. The dolphin nodded vigorously and then plunged into the sea, disappearing from sight. Yichuan couldn't help but press his lips together. After the previous encounter with the mermaids, he had gained a certain understanding of them. And with a tranquilizer syringe at hand, he felt prepared to confront any merfolk should the dolphin encounter them. While waiting for the dolphin, a voice from the system suddenly interrupted his thoughts. Hidden mission detected. Will the host accept? Yichuan's expression shifted. It had only been 2 days since he completed the last hidden mission, and another one had already appeared. It seemed the system was indeed rewarding him. Rubbing his hands together, he inquired eagerly, what is this hidden mission? Hidden mission. The host must ascertain within half a month the reasons behind the mermaids' impending invasion of the novice area of the ocean world. A substantial reward will be granted upon completion. Will you accept? The system responded. Yichuan couldn't help but scoff. He had just been contemplating this very issue, thinking he would investigate when the opportunity arose. To his surprise, the system had initiated the task for him. This matter was evidently unavoidable. The host may choose to accept or decline. Perhaps sensing Yichuan's hesitation, the system interjected directly. Naturally, he opted to accept. Yichuan chuckled. Since this task aligns perfectly with my intentions, it seems we are in agreement. Detected, the host has accepted the hidden mission. Please complete it promptly. The system replied immediately. At that moment, a massive splash erupted as the dolphin returned. Chapter 110, Yellow Phosphorus, a submarine surfaces. The dolphin leapt from the water, expelling a piece of yellow solid matter towards the shore, encased in a bubble of water. Upon landing, the bubble burst, dissipating into nothingness. Yi Chuan, witnessing this yellow solid, felt bewildered. It resembled yellow flammable ice, yet he had never heard of such a variant before. Moreover, in his studies of minerals, he had never encountered this yellow substance. Could it be sulfur? He picked it up and sniffed. It bore no sulfuric scent, but rather a garlicky aroma. Surely, it couldn't be spoiled garlic? System, what is this substance? Yi Chuan finally inquired. Yellow phosphorus, a pale yellow crystalline substance with a garlic odor, highly toxic, and applicable in military industry. The system promptly replied. Phosphate rock. Yi Chuan was taken aback. Wasn't phosphate typically red or gray? Allotropic form of phosphorus. The system provided a highly specialized term, leaving Yi Chuan somewhat perplexed. However, he firmly noted the phrase regarding its military application. The military strength of the 9 provinces is steadily on the rise. The discovery of yellow phosphorus could undoubtedly enhance military development. After some contemplation, Yi Chuan promptly inquired of the dolphin, My dear dolphin, is such a substance abundant in the depths of the sea? The dolphin nodded vigorously in response. Through the telepathic bond shared with his contracted beast, Yi Chuan was assured that beneath the ocean lay a vast deposit of yellow phosphorus, rivaling even the reserves of combustible ice previously discovered. With this revelation, Yi Chuan hastily instructed the system to log the coordinates of this location and then asked, By the way, you mentioned that this substance is highly toxic? Indeed, it is extremely toxic and has a very low ignition point, the system emphasized. If I were to utilize yellow phosphorus against the merfolk, wouldn't it suffice to simply toss a few pieces their way? Yi Chuan mused, a sudden spark of inspiration igniting within him. Be advised, the effects of yellow phosphorus poisoning take at least a day to manifest. The system cautioned thus. Using it against merfolk is not a practical approach. Accepting this counsel, Yi Chuan relinquished the idea and temporarily returned the piece of yellow phosphorus he had on shore back to the sea, before making his way back to the heart of the island. In the world of the ocean, every endeavor undertaken ultimately aimed at the exploration and development of mineral resources. While other island masters fretted over survival, he had already unearthed 2 mineral deposits. Even if these were the only resources he discovered, the wealth he would amass would undoubtedly reach 9 or even 10 figures. Delighted, Yi Chuan observed that the A-grade freshwater had accumulated to nearly 100 milliliters. He promptly poured it into the trough of the chicken coop. After a little chick drank its fill, it chirped joyfully, prompting the other 10 or so chicks to scurry over. Yi Chuan then retrieved 500 g of dried bread, crumbled it, and scattered it within the coop. As anticipated, after quenching their thirst, the chicks eagerly pecked at the breadcrumbs strewn about. Upon closer inspection, he counted a total of 16 chicks, though he could not yet distinguish between roosters and hens. Regardless, he felt assured that he would not need to worry about future supplies of eggs and meat. With some idle time on his hands, Yi Chuan ventured to open the several supply boxes piled near the turtle's head. He uncovered a portion of basic supplies and food, yet rare items were conspicuously scarce. Logically, in such extreme weather conditions, one would expect to find more rare resources. After a brief respite, as the sun began its descent, Yi Chuan commenced preparations for dinner. He stir-fried spinach with meat, prepared scallion-dressed tofu, and simmered half a pound of millet porridge. As nightfall approached, he traded these dishes with Zhao Feiyu and his companions. On a cold evening, savoring a warm bowl of millet porridge was undoubtedly the epitome of happiness. Truly deserving of being the best in the school, you possess everything of quality, Lu Yi remarked upon receiving the porridge. This prompted Yi Chuan to smirk. Lu, dear campus beauty, I can't help but sense a hint of sarcasm in your words. Nonsense, I speak nothing but the truth, she retorted. Lu Yi returned a smile, and I found myself letting go of the damned stubbornness I once held. What else could I possibly cling to? Upon reading Lu Yi's words, Yi Chuan simply responded with a laughing emoji. It seemed as though this girl was not merely speaking to him, but rather comforting herself. For the once proud campus belle had suddenly fallen to a state of reliance on others, and those providing assistance were the very individuals she aspired to surpass. Such a stark contrast necessitates time for acceptance, regardless of who one may be. Transitioning to the public chat room, Yi Chuan, while dining, began to peruse the ongoing conversation. I have a true story to share with you all, so don't be frightened. Crap, just say it already. Stop building suspense at such a moment. Hee hee, what I'm about to reveal will shock you. This evening, while I was relieving myself, I actually spotted a submarine surfacing from beneath the ice, lingering for 3 or 4 minutes before submerging back into the ocean. You fool, you can't even lie properly. Just a moment ago, someone mentioned that the island was overtaken by mermaids, and here you are claiming to have encountered a submarine. Why not say you met an aircraft carrier instead? I swear it's true. I wouldn't deceive you. I livestream myself eating excrement. Well, go ahead then. I just dropped a fresh one. As Yichuan read through the chat, he nearly felt nauseous. These idiots. Can't they speak of anything more refined while I'm trying to eat? It's revolting. Yet, regarding the island master's words, Yichuan felt an odd sense of credibility. It was reminiscent of that island master who was supposedly killed by mermaids in the morning. A tale dismissed by many as impossible. But how could a submarine possibly appear in the novice zone? Surely, it wasn't he being piloted by those savage mermaids, was it? With these thoughts swirling in his mind, Yichuan promptly sought out the island master and privately inquired, "Hey, you mentioned seeing a submarine. Is that true? Is there any doubt? I, Zhang Xingchun, have but one flaw in this life. I cannot lie," came the immediate response. "I suspect I'm being watched. Are you certain it's observing you?" Yichuan pressed further. "I'm merely speculating, but it did appear within 100 meters of my island. It must be heading in my direction, right?" Zhang Xingchun replied earnestly. Yet, the whole situation felt too surreal. How could a submarine exist in the novice zone? All right, I understand. Thank you. Yichuan concluded, then directly questioned the system. System, can you pinpoint the submarine's location? Chapter 111, a one-time superlocator. Warning, given the host's current capabilities, confronting the submarine would be akin to a moth to a flame, a path to self-destruction. The system suddenly cautioned. Could it be that the enemy is not a friend? Yichuan was taken aback. Typically, whenever the system issued a warning, it indicated a foe. He hadn't anticipated that not only had mermaids emerged, but also a submarine. What a threat this posed. Yichuan now truly understood that the novice zone of ocean survival was akin to a hellish ordeal. If this continued, even with the system at his side, breaking free from this predicament seemed unlikely. He could only take it one step at a time. Worrying is indeed unnecessary. Yichuan simply informed the dolphin and the sea turtle to notify him promptly in case of any unusual occurrences, and then he settled down to watch a film. By the time it was past 10, he retired to bed, and the night passed in silence. The following morning, awakened by the system's prompt chime, Yichuan immediately declared, "Check-in. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host, you have obtained 1,000 evolution points and a one-time superlocator." What exactly is a one-time superlocator? Yichuan's expression shifted, and he quickly inquired. The one-time superlocator can pinpoint any location within a radius of 5,000 nautical miles and is a consumable item. The system replied, "Does this mean I can summon one of the 7 to my island?" Yichuan's expression brightened. This was indeed a valuable item. However, choosing one among 7 did not seem an easy task. Eureka! An idea struck Yichuan, and he immediately applied a triple enhancement card to the one-time superlocator, transforming it into 3. When he intended to use it again, however, the triple enhancement card proved ineffective. The system's voice then echoed, "Attention! The triple enhancement card can only be applied to one item once. It cannot be used a second time." Well, at least I can locate 3 individuals now. Although Yichuan was not entirely satisfied with this outcome, he felt a sense of contentment. Yet, he still intended to ponder whom to use it on first. Subsequently, Yichuan prepared a pot of spinach and boiled it in fresh water before adding a generous handful of noodles acquired from a previous trade. He then checked the chicken coop and found only 1 egg, which he decided to keep for himself, given the scarcity of eggs. Afterward, Yichuan traded a bowl of noodles to each person and sent a message to Lu Yi. "I have a way to determine your location and plan to come and fetch you to live on my island. What do you think? You can actually find the coordinates of my island." Lu Yi replied incredulously, "I possess a locator that can pinpoint the island." Yichuan responded, "If you agree, I can head to your island immediately. I have already benefited from your generosity for a month. I feel it would be inappropriate to visit your island now." Lu Yi pondered for a moment before replying, "I fear the only way I can repay your kindness is by offering myself." "What are you talking about?" Yichuan was at a loss for words. It was merely due to the increasingly harsh environment and the uncertainty of what might happen next that led to his current thoughts. He hoped she would not misinterpret his intentions. "I understand, but at this moment, I feel I have troubled you far too much already, and I do not know how to face you," Lu Yi conveyed with an awkward expression. "Please allow me some time to consider." "All right." Yichuan did not press Lu Yi for a decision. This response was, of course, within his expectations. Deep down, this girl still retained a final streak of stubbornness. Perhaps she would never take that final step unless absolutely necessary. At this moment, Zhao Feiyu finally accepted the noodles and shifted his attention to the 3 processed wild chickens placed in the trading area, leaving Yichuan momentarily stunned. "Did you venture into the woods?" he inquired. "Indeed. After expanding to 1,000 square meters, the forest was teeming with small creatures. And I managed to catch 3 wild chickens, Zhao Feiyu replied. However, I lack any seasonings, so I'll leave the preparation to you. Not a problem. We shall feast on stir-fried chicken for lunch. Yichuan responded with a jovial emoji, recalling how long it had been since he savored spicy chicken. This was an opportune moment to indulge. It seems I shall also be fortunate today, Zhao Feiyu exclaimed, his spirits lifted. Yichuan contemplated asking Zhao Feiyu further questions. Suspecting he was not one to rely on others, but ultimately inquired about blueberry jam instead. Without hesitation, Blueberry Jam replied, Really? That is absolutely delightful. I've been nearly driven to loneliness on this little island. It's wonderful to have you as my companion, hee. Are you certain? Yichuan asked with seriousness. This decision may have irreversible effects on your future. I made my decision long ago. Blueberry Jam sent a toothy grin emoji. Glancing at the public chat records filled with mermaids and submarines, I'm frightened. Very well. Yichuan, seeing her resolve, promptly utilized a disposable super locator on Blueberry Jam. In an instant, a virtual interface materialized before Yichuan, revealing a small dot in the distant southwest. He was taken aback. That seems quite far, doesn't he? After examining the virtual interface, he quickly calculated the distance. 3,200 nautical miles. So far, Yichuan exclaimed in disbelief. Yet, recalling the torrential rain that had flooded the public chat with discussions among numerous island owners, while Blueberry Jam nearly perished from thirst, he realized just how distant her location was. Calculating at a speed of 45 nautical miles per hour, he thought, however, due to the icy surface. The turtle's progress is impeded, currently advancing at a rate of 30 nautical miles per hour. As the ice thickness increases, its speed will continue to diminish. Just then, the system provided a timely reminder as Yichuan pondered this matter. It has slowed down so significantly? He mused, recalibrating his estimates. If the turtle continues at 30 nautical miles per hour, it would require over 4 days to reach her. Given the daily increase in ice thickness, it might take a week or more. Ultimately, Yichuan concluded, it will take approximately a week for me to reach your island. Please wait for about 7 days. Not an issue. Blueberry Jam replied with a flurry of toothy smile emojis. After feeling lonely and cold for a month, she was thrilled that her elder brother was finally coming to get her. After providing the coordinates to the turtle and commanding it to advance towards the destination, Yichuan began to eat his noodles while browsing the public chatroom. Am I blind? Or is there a mermaid paddling a small boat towards my island, with someone seated behind her? Chapter 112, The Sky City? Spicy Chicken. Alas, my friend, are you jesting? A mermaid has come to your abode as a guest? Has the sea not frozen over? How could a mermaid navigate a vessel? Such deceit is unfathomable. Is it possible that it is that island lord who claimed to have been attacked by a mermaid? Has he forged a friendship with her? If so, one might say he is fortunate indeed to have a mermaid indulging in bananas. How delightful. Yet, amidst such peculiarities, one cannot overlook the fact that this mermaid is male. Yes, male. Have they truly come ashore? Goodness, that fellow has been bound hand and foot. A mermaid kidnapping incident? The public chatroom erupted into a cacophony of voices. Yet the individual who had claimed the mermaid had landed, known by the username Big Wise One, fell silent. Yichuan could not help but furrow his brow. It appeared that the last person who encountered the merman had indeed been captured, but rather than being slain, he was taken to another island lord. What could this creature possibly desire? Surely, it cannot be that he intends to regard humans as sustenance? Yichuan chose not to dwell on this matter further. Instead, he resolved to journey towards the Blueberry Jam while devising a means to uncover the mermaid's intentions and thus fulfill his hidden quest. One could only say, the path ahead is fraught with challenges. With no other pressing concerns, Yichuan promptly attended to the wild chickens. As he chopped the birds into pieces and soaked them in a basin of blood, he also gathered 5 chilies, preparing ginger, garlic, and spices. Alas, he lacked soy sauce, which would have rendered the spicy chicken truly perfect. Nonetheless, even in the oceanic realm, this dish would undoubtedly be a unique delicacy. Cycling around the island, he surveyed the surroundings and fed 3 small creatures generous handfuls of dried fish. After milking the sheep and providing fresh water for both chickens and sheep, over an hour had elapsed. By 10 o'clock, Yichuan added a spoonful of lard to the pot, followed by Sichuan pepper, star anise, cinnamon, bay leaves, and fennel. He introduced half the ginger, garlic, and scallions, sautéing until fragrant before adding the dried chicken, stirring until the moisture evaporated. Then, he poured in 3 liters of water, bringing it to a boil before reducing it to a gentle simmer. The 3 wild mountain chickens were mature and not easy to cook, requiring at least an hour and a half, but once done, their flavor would be exquisite. During this time, Friday approached with a generous handful of strawberries. Brother Chuan. The strawberries are ripe, 46 in total. Such a bounty this time. Yi Chuan's expression shifted. Previously, there had been only 20 or so strawberries. Unexpectedly, with a few more plants. The quantity nearly doubled, allowing everyone to indulge. The special tree species had grown to over 30 meters high. Overjoyed, Yi Chuan glanced at the remarkable tree, astonished by its resilience to cold, thriving even in temperatures as low as -17 or 18 degrees. However, its trunk was still only as thick as an infant's arm, and it had merely sprouted a handful of leaves at the top, with no branching yet evident. Indeed, to preserve its nutrients. I deliberately watered it with a bottle of balanced nutrient solution last night. Friday remarked, confident that soon it would surprise us. Do you know what kind of tree it is, and are deliberately withholding that information from me? Yi Chuan inquired suspiciously, fixing his gaze on Friday. Brother Chuan. I swear I truly do not know. Friday quickly clarified, but I have a vague feeling it must be related to the Sky City. What on earth is the Sky City? Yi Chuan asked, bewildered. I have no idea. It merely flashed through my mind when I was created, and I only remember that name. Everything else eludes me. Friday responded loudly. You better not be lying to me, or I'll have you reprocessed. Yi Chuan warned ominously, then turned to the system. System, what is the Sky City? Warning. The host is treading upon forbidden topics. Please refrain from mentioning it, or face the consequences. The system's voice seemed to chill momentarily. Yi Chuan could not help but scoff. It's not like I wanted to ask. It was Friday's words that piqued my curiosity, as if anyone would want to know. With that, Yi Chuan huffed and placed the strawberries on the dining table. Casting a glance at the large pot, the broth had reduced significantly, so he immediately added chili and salt, followed by the remaining half of the scallions, ginger, and garlic, turning up the heat to prepare to thicken it. Additionally, Yi Chuan ground some cornmeal with a stone mill, mixing it with water to create corn cakes which he pressed against the side of the pot. Once the broth was thickened and the corn cakes were cooked, Yi Chuan swiftly served each of the 7 a bowl of spicy chicken along with 2 corn cakes, declaring, Today we feast on spicy chicken. Wow, boss. I truly adore you. You even managed to whip up spicy chicken. The little dragon exclaimed, overwhelmed with excitement. I don't know what else to say besides incredible. Spare the flattery. Just enjoy your spicy chicken. Yi Chuan retorted, just strive to live. With you around, boss, not only can I live, I'm even gaining weight. The little dragon replied with a grinning emoji, then began to indulge heartily. Although there was no soy sauce, the other ingredients, including the chicken, were of the highest quality, making the spicy chicken utterly delectable, beyond compare. Lu Yi exclaimed joyfully, at last, I've savored the delight of spicy chicken, thanks to my fellow alumnus. Let us skip the thanks. We're just helping each other through tough times. Yi Chuan replied with a grinning emoji. Enough already. I've been receiving without giving anything in return. Lu Yi pouted, feeling somewhat embarrassed by the sentiment. Then when we meet, you can serve me tea, do laundry, and cook. Yi Chuan responded with a laughing emoji. Sure, I'll be your bed warmer. Lu Yi replied almost without hesitation. This left Yi Chuan speechless, and he chose not to reply further. The remaining individuals also expressed their excitement over Yi Chuan's spicy chicken. After responding briefly, Yi Chuan approached the super tablet, savoring the dish while perusing the chat logs. He soon noticed someone seeking to purchase items, a high-price acquisition of a medium-sized sailboat or the blueprints for one. My friend, hasn't the mermaid already landed on your island? Are you all right? Why the sudden urge to acquire a medium-sized sailboat? It was uncertain whether this person was the one making the purchase or if it was the mermaid orchestrating it, given that she had previously paddled a small boat. Enough chatter. If you have it, message me privately. If not, keep quiet. Someone exclaimed. With that attitude, I wouldn't give you a medium-sized sailboat even if I had one. As the sea froze over, did this fool expect to sail on ice? Chapter 113. The scheming mermaid encounters a submarine. Upon reading these chat messages, Yi Chuan's expression subtly altered. If he was not mistaken, the interlocutor was either a mermaid or an island master under her control. It was inconceivable that this so-called smart guy was independently seeking to acquire one. After pondering for a few seconds, Yi Chuan instantly sent a private message. Hello. I possess a medium-sized sailboat, but this item is of a unique nature. What do you have to offer in exchange? Are you aware of mermaid oil? After a brief pause, the other party replied, I have mermaid oil, which can be used to create lamps that last for a millennium. Yi Chuan retorted, are you jesting? This is a survival scenario on an island. I am struggling to find food and warmth. What use is mermaid oil to me? Offer something else. I have a knife, weighing 56 pounds, measuring 50 centimeters in length, capable of slicing through iron like mud, able to cleave a 1,000-pound stone in two. After another brief pause, The other party responded, "Send me a picture." Yi Chuan's expression changed. "Why should I give it to you? If you don't provide me with the sailboat, wouldn't I be giving it away for nothing? Are you a fraud?" The smart guy replied. Yi Chuan promptly placed the medium-sized sailboat in the trading section, only to remove it 10 seconds later. "Do you see? I truly possess a medium-sized sailboat, but how effective is your knife? I must try it first, otherwise. If I am deceived, where can I seek redress?" "That's fair," the smart guy acknowledged, promptly trading the knife to Yi Chuan. Upon receiving the knife, Yi Chuan was taken aback by its weight, which was just right for him. He drew the mountain cleaver and struck it against the ground, creating a sizable notch. "How marvelous!" Yi Chuan gasped, his excitement surging. After all, previously, whether dealing with the reticulated python or the mermaid, the mountain cleaver had not proven particularly useful and had almost become a burden. With this knife in hand, Yi Chuan felt an unwavering confidence. He could certainly slay the reticulated python in one strike. Even against the mermaid, one blow would suffice. "So what do you think of this knife?" the smart guy inquired again. "It's unmanageable. It's too heavy for me to lift, utterly impractical. It's merely a burden," Yi Chuan replied. "Never mind. I shall no longer engage in this transaction. Please return my knife," the impatient Tsongming exclaimed. "It's not as if you alone possess a medium-sized sailboat. Did I not inform you that I am unable to lift the knife after it fell to the ground?" Yi Chuan retorted, "If you cannot lift it, how do you expect to proceed with the trade? Is this some sort of jest? Are you deliberately provoking me?" Tsongming's expression darkened. "Do not presume I am unaware of your whereabouts. I possess a superlocator. Should you refuse to comply, I shall have no choice but to employ it." "Very well. Use it if you must," Yi Chuan replied, promptly blocking Tsongming. On a distant island, hundreds of nautical miles away, Tsongming glanced feebly at the towering merman beside him. "Brother Fish, he has blocked me." With a growl, the merman glared at Tsongming and slapped him across the face, sending him staggering to the ground, his translator device tumbling out of his ear. Quickly, Tsongming donned the receiver and exclaimed, "Brother Fish, since you have the superlocator, you can not only exact your vengeance, but also acquire the medium-sized sailboat. With a stroke of luck, we may even obtain other treasures. It's a win-win for us. At this point, we have no other option." The merman nodded thoughtfully and dashed out of the small wooden cabin to utilize the superlocator. Yi Chuan, pondering to himself, remarked, "Surprisingly, the other party also possesses a superlocator. I wonder whether it belongs to the merman or Tsongming. Nevertheless, I had intended to seek him out, and it appears he is eager to find me first. This is fortuitous. I merely need to remain vigilant and wait for the opportunity to arise." After alerting the dolphins and the three little ones to be on guard, Yi Chuan took great delight in handling the knife. It was evident that this blade was handcrafted, forged through no fewer than 1,000 temperings. The entire blade bore the marks of a small hammer, creating a texture reminiscent of fish scales. The edge, however, gleamed brilliantly, and at the juncture of the blade and handle, a tiny character representing Earth was inscribed. Could it be that the artisan's surname was Tu? After toying with it for a while, Yi Chuan stored the knife in the system's inventory, allowing for its immediate retrieval with but a thought whenever needed. Quite convenient indeed. As for the broadsword, Yi Chuan traded it directly to Liang Hongying, who expressed her surprise. "Why do you give me a knife? I am aware of your martial prowess." "I offer you this knife for self-defense," Yi Chuan replied. "The situation is becoming increasingly dire. Both mermen and submarines could appear at any moment, so exercise caution." "This broadsword has a notch," Liang Hongying inquired skeptically. "The notch is a remnant from my battles. However, it does not impair its function," Yi Chuan grinned. "If it does not meet your approval, I can always seek a more perfect weapon for you in the future. I was merely curious. This weapon is quite commendable." Liang Hongying promptly accepted it, sending a smiling emoji in gratitude. There was no need for formality among comrades. Yi Chuan replied with a hearty laugh. "I eagerly await the generous returns on your investment. Rest assured, I guarantee you will be utterly astonished." Liang Hongying also sent a laughing emoji. Just at that moment, the three little ones suddenly began to call out urgently, causing Yi Chuan's heart to tighten. Could it be that the mermaid had found him so soon? Yi Chuan squinted, immediately rushing out of the room, only to see the three little ones spiraling in the sky. Upon his emergence, Wang Kai promptly dove down, and at the instant Yi Chuan reached out to grasp its feet, it whisked him into the air, swiftly flying to the left. After a full 5 minutes, at a distance of 25 nautical miles, Yi Chuan spotted a white lump protruding from the ice. Had it not been for the damaged ice surface and the ring of red atop the white lump, it would have been quite challenging to discern. "Is this the submarine Zhang Shengchun mentioned?" Yi Chuan furrowed his brow, murmuring to himself. He had never anticipated that this submarine would appear so close to him, nor that their encounter would happen with such swiftness. Undoubtedly, this submarine had already detected Turtle Island, encountering such a large turtle. It was difficult to ensure they would not react in some manner. System, you say that challenging the submarine is akin to a moth flying into the flame. A self-destructive endeavor, yet now they have come to my doorstep. What should I do? Yichuan gradually descended back to the ground, asking with exasperation. Chapter 114, Crisis Averted, Harvest of Krill. The system remained silent, leaving Yichuan uncertain if it had grown timid or was simply pondering. Yichuan smirked slightly, contemplating for a moment, then stated with seriousness, Dolphin, keep a close watch on that submarine, and report to me immediately at the slightest movement. Since the turtle's water cannon had been upgraded to intermediate level, it could only strike targets up to 50 meters away. This time, it would likely be of no use. Currently, his most formidable weapon was the small cannon, but as the submarine was submerged, it too would prove ineffective. The only force at his disposal was the Dolphin, whose impact of 1,500 pounds would likely only tickle the submarine. Indeed, as the system had pointed out, he possessed no chance of victory. Moreover, if the enemy employed large-scale lethal weapons, even with the Turtle's rapid healing abilities, survival was not guaranteed. It was a gamble. After considering several plans that seemed impractical, Yichuan finally gritted his teeth and murmured to himself. 10 minutes later, the Dolphin leapt from the sea and called out a few times to Yichuan, who was momentarily taken aback. The submarine had slipped away to the left after entering the water. Phew. In the next moment, Yichuan sat down heavily, exhaling a long sigh of relief. He had anticipated a battle with no hope of victory, yet it seemed the submarine had ignored him. This indicated that the vessel was not manned by mermaids, but rather by humans. Furthermore, they were likely seasoned island masters entering from the open sea. Though the reason for their foray into the novice zone remained a mystery, having escaped a calamity, this could be deemed good news. An evening of celebration was in order. Yichuan mused to himself as he hurriedly reheated the leftover spicy chicken, finally finishing his lunch around 1 in the afternoon. Glancing at the trading interface, he noted that all the marine fish he had listed had been successfully traded. It seemed the time had come to exchange another batch of marine and freshwater fish for resources. Moreover, with the sea now frozen over, the island masters had a far greater need for resources than for food and water, presenting Yichuan with an excellent opportunity to acquire more supplies. The emergence of the submarine had made Yichuan acutely aware of his own insignificance. Even with the support of the system, encountering an overwhelmingly powerful force would likely lead to a grim fate. After a thorough consolidation of his resources, he found himself with 324 wooden planks, 303 metal sheets, 512 cloth pieces, 922 stones, 577 plastics, and 213 glass pieces. While this appeared to be a substantial amount, he doubted it would suffice to manufacture even half a submarine. Thus, the aggressive collection of resources became imperative. At that moment, Yichuan repositioned the semi-automatic fishing machine to the rear of the turtle. After instructing the turtle to pause, he enlisted the help of a dolphin to clear away the ice chunks before pressing the button to operate the device in the waters ahead. With a crisp sound, the fishing net shot out and swiftly sank into the depths of the ocean. As he began to reel in the net, he noticed something unusual. It felt exceedingly heavy. The water beneath must be particularly cold. Could such frigid temperatures yield a significant catch? Yichuan joyfully murmured to himself, hastening the retrieval of the net, which ultimately brought an abundant haul back to the island. To his astonishment, the net was teeming with shrimp measuring 2 to 3 centimeters in size. The system promptly reported the quantity, 134 pounds of krill. Incredible! A whole ton of krill! Yichuan exclaimed with delight. The size of the krill was rather considerable, making them perfect for stir-frying or for crafting shrimp paste. He never anticipated such a bountiful catch. It felt like a windfall. Without delay, Yichuan listed all the krill, 200G for 5 wooden planks, 200G for 5 cloth pieces, and 200G for 5 metal sheets, totaling 5,000 listings. In an instant, the trading interface transformed into a veritable paradise of krill. The seasoned island masters quickly noticed this development and immediately took to the public chat room. Krill. There's a big shot who has listed thousands of pounds of krill. The ice layer must be 7 to 8 centimeters thick. How on earth did they manage to catch krill? I thought you were joking. I can't believe there are actually krill. What kind of fine net must they have used to catch these krill? Does this big shot possess a specialized net for krill? How could there be such a vast quantity of krill at this time? This person must be raking in riches. I am truly envious. With the sea already frozen, Resources had become less significant than food. It was wise to trade for what one could, lest they fall victim to starvation. You don't need to tell me. I've already exchanged 600 G. Upon reviewing the transaction records, it became evident that trades had begun to materialize gradually. Meanwhile, private messages flooded in. Yi Chuan perused through a dozen messages and ultimately selected one from Wang Sanrui. Friend, how did you manage to catch your krill? To which Yi Chuan retorted immediately. What does that concern you? I'll exchange you 50 kilograms of krill if you share your method. How about that? Wang Sanrui replied, presenting 2 island expansion cards and a blueprint for a small hovercraft. How do you possess so many island expansion cards? Yi Chuan furrowed his brow, realizing he had already acquired 5 or 6 from him. Did this fellow possess a glitch specifically for acquiring island expansion cards? Are you the friend I traded with several times before? Upon reading this, Wang Sanrui was taken aback. Yi Chuan's identity felt shrouded in mystery to Wang Sanrui. Not only could he hunt wild boars, hyenas, and pythons, but now he could also harvest such an abundance of krill. Was he somehow in contact with external families or consortiums? You need not concern yourself with who I am. I currently possess 4 island expansion cards. The blueprint for the small hovercraft is indeed valuable, but 50 kilograms seems excessive, Yi Chuan replied. How about 30 kilograms? If you agree, we can proceed with the transaction. Friend, the small hovercraft can navigate over ice, reaching speeds of up to 70 knots. Wang Sanrui responded earnestly. This is no ordinary item. It is worth at least 30 kilograms. This contraption requires fuel. Without it, the creation is futile. Yi Chuan argued persuasively. You may choose to trade or not. The decision lies with you. Trade. Wang Sanrui gritted his teeth in frustration, but still placed the 3 items in the transaction window, completing the trade with Yi Chuan. Damn it. One day I will make you regret this. Wang Sanrui muttered to himself, kicking a nearby stone in anger. As for Yi Chuan, upon receiving the blueprint for the small hovercraft, he discovered a delightful revelation with the aid of the system. This small hovercraft does not require fuel. Chapter 115. Erecting the generator, feasting. It operates on electricity instead. This small hovercraft is powered by a 20,000 Ah battery, with a range of up to 300 nautical miles. This means that by operating this craft, one can travel at least 150 nautical miles. What an exhilarating prospect. This truly is an unexpected delight. Initially, I thought fuel was a hindrance, yet it turns out to be so energy efficient and environmentally friendly. Yi Chuan laughed heartily. After all, possessing a super battery, which could provide him with power for tens of thousands of uses, is of no concern. However, this also instilled in Yi Chuan a slight sense of urgency. While the battery housed an ample charge, the future demand for electricity would undoubtedly increase, leading to a day when he might find himself in dire straits. It appears that the 5 wind turbine manufacturing blueprints previously produced have finally been put to good use. With this realization, Yi Chuan promptly constructed the 5 wind turbines and positioned them around the earlier generator, linking them in series with the existing wiring. In an instant, 6 wind turbines began generating electricity. With each rotation, excluding the energy consumed by the lines, approximately 1 kilowatt-hour of electricity could be fed into the super battery. Thus, over the course of a day, nearly 200 kilowatt-hours could be delivered, making it quite possible to fully charge the super battery given enough time. Exhilarated by the sight of the 6 erect wind turbines, Yi Chuan felt a surge of excitement. Indeed, it was a day of bountiful harvest. Musing to himself, he chopped a large piece of pork ribs, having previously exchanged for 3 bottles of beer, which perfectly suited the creation of a beer-braised rib dish. He began by cutting the ribs into smaller pieces, blanching them, and then sautéing them in lard, tossing in scallions, ginger, Sichuan peppercorns, star anise, dried bay leaves, and dried chili peppers to unleash their fragrance, before simmering them gently over low heat. Given that wild boar meat tends to be tough, it required at least 2 hours of cooking to become tender. Following this, he added beer and salt to craft this delectable dish of red braised ribs. Lacking soy sauce, he made do as best as he could. While the ribs simmered, Yi Chuan retrieved 3 pounds of shrimp, washing them thoroughly in fresh water before placing them into a makeshift mortar, where he began to pound them with a pestle, continuously adding scallions, ginger, and salt until the shrimp had been reduced to a thick paste. The process of making shrimp paste was quite simple, and with so much shrimp at his disposal, he could prepare it whenever he wished in the future. Stir-fried eggs with shrimp paste, generously adorned with scallions, would surely be a divine treat. As time passed, the pork ribs, having absorbed the flavors from the beer, were ready and emanated a tantalizing aroma, drawing the 3 little ones to gather around Yi Chuan. Generously, he tossed them each 2 pieces, Despite the spiciness causing them to cough, they relished the feast, their delighted expressions eliciting hearty laughter from Yichuan. He promptly provided them with a large basin of fresh water, which they eagerly gulped down. Plating the beer-braised ribs, Yichuan gathered 2 eggs and swiftly prepared the shrimp paste stir-fry. Since he had already added salt during the shrimp paste preparation, there was no need to add more. He simply cooked it until done. Then, he distributed a multi-grain pancake to each of the 7 individuals, presenting them with the delectable offerings, beer-braised ribs and shrimp paste stir-fried eggs, inviting everyone to indulge. "This is quite the feast," exclaimed Zhao Feiyu in astonishment. "Don't tell me those shrimp were also caught by you." "You've guessed it," Yichuan replied, beaming with pride. "I netted a whopping 2,000 pounds of shrimp in one haul. Absolutely exhilarating. The shrimp paste rolled in pancakes is truly a delicacy. Not just delicious. This is a culinary masterpiece," Zhao Feiyu responded, giving a thumbs up in admiration. "Impressive." Lu Yuwei bestowed a thumbs-up emoji upon Yichuan, exclaiming, "To be honest, I previously had no fondness for shrimp paste. However, your creation is akin to a delightful massage for the palate. It could almost make my tongue pregnant." "Is it truly that exaggerated?" Yichuan retorted with a smirk, secretly adding to himself, "As long as it's not my belly that is pregnant." Regardless, it was undeniably delectable. Lu Yuwei flashed a toothy grin. "You're wonderful. Let us dine." Yichuan's lips curled into a smile as he responded. He then poured himself a glass of strong liquor, leisurely enjoying an action-packed film while sipping his drink and savoring snacks, blissfully spending 2 hours in relaxation. It was only after 10 at night that Yichuan washed up and settled onto his bed. Glancing at the messages in the public chat room, the ice layer is nearly 9 centimeters thick. It's nearly impossible to break through. This world is going mad. A supply crate is right before my eyes, yet I cannot obtain it. You can pierce a 2-centimeter hole in the ice with a long spear. Just strip down to your pants and do push-ups. What kind of divine operation is this? Brother, how did you conceive of such an idea? Truly a talent. One must find joy even in hardship. I'm on the brink of starvation, and I'm not allowed a moment of happiness? No offense intended, but I truly cannot fathom why you're so meticulous. Goodness, let me off this ride. I need to return to kindergarten. What is this madness? Is there no sense of crisis at all? Yichuan, utterly speechless, reminded the 3 little ones to remain vigilant before succumbing to a deep slumber. The following morning, Yichuan finally awoke, peering outside to find the day had fully dawned. Under the influence of alcohol, he had managed to sleep until past 8. Sleeping in until naturally awake was indeed far more comfortable. Stretching, he stepped out of his door, observing the sun rising halfway in the sky, already exuding some warmth. A dolphin leapt gracefully from the ocean's surface, conveying some news to Yichuan, which allowed him to finally set his mind at ease. That submarine had drifted 200 nautical miles away from Turtle Island and was continuing to retreat. It seemed that he would indeed not encounter it again. That said, how far could that mermaid be? It had been a whole day and night without her arrival. Yichuan couldn't help but murmur softly. It shouldn't be too far, right? Subsequently, he chose not to dwell on it. Even if she were still 20 or 30 nautical miles away, the 3 little ones would keep him informed. It was best to wait until she was within 20 nautical miles before addressing it. Then, Yichuan declared, "Sign in." Sign in successful. Congratulations to the host for receiving 1,000 evolution points, 200 kilograms of fertile black soil, and a lucky blind box. Note, there is a chance to obtain manufacturing blueprints. Seeds or fruits. His luck seemed adequate. He had opened a blind box again. Yet, he wondered about his fortune regarding it. Yichuan couldn't help but smile, promptly saying, "Open the blind box." Opening blind box. Congratulations to the host. You have received a choice of 1 from 6 super warm cotton skirts. Chapter 116. Rooting out the problem. System warning. A warm cotton skirt. Yichuan was momentarily taken aback, then with a wry smile remarked, "Oh dear system. Is this a jest? As I anticipate the arrival of a female guest on my island, you have the audacity to present me with a cotton dress?" Yet, the system remained silent. Not wishing to dwell on the matter further, Yichuan refrained from making a selection. For who could ascertain the color or style preferences of blueberry jam? He decided it prudent to wait until she actually arrived on his island. Estimating that by this time, everyone had likely finished breakfast, Yichuan opted not to over-prepare. He merely whisked together 2 eggs to create an egg drink, which he consumed before stepping out of his room. After feeding the chicks some breadcrumbs and replenishing their supply of grade of fresh water, Yichuan intended to milk the sheep. However, he noticed that the belly of the ewe seemed somewhat larger than before. Had she perhaps gained weight? A warning from the system promptly echoed in his mind. Attention, the ewe is pregnant and will give birth in 2 weeks. Wow, really? Yi Chuan exclaimed in astonishment. He hadn't even realized that the two sheep had, at some point, conceived a new life. What an unexpected turn of events. Furthermore, in this oceanic realm, the gestation period for the ewe was remarkably brief, approximately 21 to 22 days. It seemed she was currently 7 days into her pregnancy. But could milk still be extracted and consumed after she became pregnant? Yi Chuan pondered, stroking his chin, before promptly messaging Lu Yu Weiwei. Lu Yu Weiwei quickly responded with a barrage of laughter emojis, patiently explaining, "Rest assured, the milk from a pregnant ewe remains drinkable. You can milk her without any concerns." Yi Chuan then inquired, "So, I can continue milking her until she gives birth?" "In principle, yes," came her reply. "All right, I understand," Yi Chuan responded, swiftly seizing a small bucket to begin milking. He resolved to continue this milking routine until 3 days prior to the ewe's delivery, as he needed to stockpile some sheep's milk. After all, the newborn lamb would require maternal nourishment for some time post-birth. Having completed this task, Yi Chuan let out a long sigh of relief and then handed the fertile black soil to Friday. "Brother Chuan, we have encountered an issue with the wheat," Friday said, accepting the soil with a troubled expression. "What do you mean?" Yi Chuan's heart sank, and he gazed at Friday with a serious demeanor. "You are the expert in plant cultivation. How could there be a problem with the wheat?" "It's not my fault. A hole was dug in the greenhouse the night before last, and a portion of the sprouted wheat was ravaged," Friday quickly explained. "I repaired the greenhouse. But who would have guessed that it was breached again last night, and more of the wheat was damaged?" "Is that so?" Yi Chuan furrowed his brow and summoned the trio of small creatures. The trio had been on alert, and logically, such an issue should not have arisen. It seemed something from the woods had caused the disturbance. Yi Chuan needed to contemplate what that something might be. The three small beings exchanged glances, and ultimately, it was Wang Kai who diplomatically expressed his regret. Surprisingly, the three little ones frolicked vigorously during the day and inadvertently fell asleep at night, which is precisely when the greenhouse was compromised. "We must immediately venture into the woods. Regardless of what malevolent force is at play, we must unearth it." Yi Chuan seethed with indignation, and without delay, he led the trio into the forest. This time, however, the three little ones did not form a protective triangle around Yi Chuan. Instead, they dispersed, their primary objective being to locate any substantial creatures. Alas, despite thoroughly scouring the entire forest, Yi Chuan and his companions found no trace of any large animals. This was perplexing. If my search was not meticulous enough, the three little ones would not have slacked off. Yi Chuan mused, stroking his chin thoughtfully. Could it be that while we were searching the woods, the true culprit had stealthily vacated the area? With this thought, Yi Chuan called out to the trio. Instantly, they dashed towards the edge of the forest and soared into the sky. In mere moments, they began to chirp excitedly and darted back towards the woods from a specific direction. Yi Chuan snorted in response and raced after them, only to encounter two figures swiftly entering the forest. Those were the two hyenas that had survived last time. Upon seeing Yi Chuan, the hyenas immediately bared their teeth menacingly, crouching low in preparation for battle. Well, you two are quite adept at hiding. It seems you managed to evade us in the woods last time using the same tactic, didn't you?" Yi Chuan chuckled, gripping his blade firmly. This time, there would be no escape. With a ferocious howl, the two hyenas lunged at Yi Chuan from either side, their sharp teeth aimed at his thigh and throat. Yi Chuan snorted disdainfully, his blade flashing like lightning as it cleaved through the air. In an instant, two pitiful whimpers echoed as the hyenas were bisected, collapsing to the ground in anguish. "If you hadn't meddled with my greenhouse and wheat, I might have temporarily forgotten your existence," Yi Chuan remarked, shaking his head slightly. "I had offered you a chance, but you proved to be inept. Thus, you cannot blame me." He then instructed the trio to dispose of the hyenas' carcasses into the sea and ordered Friday to repair the greenhouse once more. With that, Yi Chuan prepared to make lunch. The search for the two hyenas had consumed over 2 hours of Yi Chuan's time, and as 11 approached, he felt his stomach rumble. Suddenly, an alert from the system echoed in his mind. In 3 days, the ice thickness will exceed 30 centimeters, and the sea turtles will face maximum resistance, rendering them incapable of swimming forward. At that moment, Yi Chuan realized the urgency of the situation. The sea turtles would have to crawl to move and would no longer be able to forage for food independently. He needed to prepare ample provisions to ensure the turtles' daily sustenance. "How much fish does one turtle require in a day?" Yi Chuan inquired, astonished. 500 pounds, came the system's response, which truly startled him. Who could believe that a sea turtle consumes an astounding 500 pounds of fish each day during its journey? This is indeed a staggering figure. It appears that for the foreseeable future, my sole endeavor must be to catch fish, ensuring that the turtle does not face starvation during the freeze of the ocean. Naturally, this task will need to commence in the afternoon. For now, however, my primary concern is lunch. Chapter 117. Harvesting food for the turtle. The mermaids arrive. At this moment, Yichuan promptly retrieved a bluefin tuna, slicing off a substantial portion of its fresh flesh. He then took some chilies, minced them finely, heated oil in a pan, and added scallions, ginger, Sichuan pepper, and star anise to create an aromatic blend. After extracting the solid remnants, he poured the fragrant oil over the minced chilies, crafting a simple yet exquisite chili oil. Using this chili oil as a dipping sauce for the raw tuna was indeed a unique creation. Subsequently, Yichuan activated his multifunctional grill and prepared 8 squids, distributing 200 grams of sashimi, a small portion of dipping sauce, and a grilled squid to each of the 7 individuals. We're having sashimi again. This feast would cost at least 10,000 yuan outside, exclaimed Lu Shuai, brimming with excitement. I didn't eat breakfast, eagerly waiting for this grand meal. Having risen late and been occupied for a while, noon had swiftly arrived. Yichuan expressed a resigned smile, eager to taste the tuna with chili oil, anticipating a delightful explosion of flavors. In such an environment, anything consumed brings a sense of satisfaction. Moreover, dear leader, you always have me trying different culinary styles. I feel as though I'm becoming quite indulgent. Lu Shuai sent an awkward emoji, as no one had anticipated that the novice area would resemble a hellish challenge. The knowledge previously acquired seemed nearly useless, rendering it a futile endeavor. Do not be disheartened. Everyone will find their moment to shine. Yichuan responded with a hearty laugh. He then resumed his meal while glancing at the messages in the public chat room. During this freeze, my food supply has dwindled to critical levels. I am on the verge of starvation. Is there anyone who could kindly share some food with me? Haven T the Big Shot's been trading krill for various resources? Don't tell me your resources are all subpar. I have already exchanged all my resources once. I've consumed everything. I still have some fresh water. Who wants it in exchange for food? That guy who did push-ups last night, is he still around? Does he feel joyous? Damn, don't even mention it. It's freezing. I got stuck at the start, and when I pulled away, my skin tore off. Thankfully, I stopped the bleeding, but I fear inflammation. If I can't use it in the future, it would hinder my lineage. Serves you right, huh? Upon reading the cascade of messages, Yichuan couldn't help but smirk. There truly were some peculiar individuals, staying up late to poke a hole in the ice for push-ups, not seeing any valuable information. He quickly finished his meal and rushed off to catch fish. Yet, it seemed that there were no fish in the vicinity. After casting 3 nets, he astonishingly caught only krill, amassing a total of 6,000 pounds. Yichuan found himself at a loss for words and couldn't help but inquire of the sea turtle. My dear turtle, do you consume krill? The massive head of the sea turtle slowly emerged from the water's surface, and it turned to nod at Yichuan, finally alleviating his concerns. Perhaps krill might not sustain hunger as well as sea fish, yet 500 pounds of fish should equate to 600 pounds of krill, right? Thus, this 6,000 pounds of krill would suffice to spare the sea turtle from the pursuit of food for at least 9 days. With the dawn breaking brightly, Yichuan took a deep breath and cast his nets once more. In addition to the 6,000 pounds of krill, he also caught a dozen king crabs. Tonight, they would feast on king crab. With 12,000 pounds of krill, there would be enough sustenance for the turtle for at least 18 days. Yichuan decided to rest for the day and resume fishing tomorrow. After all, he had spent nearly 2 hours casting 6 nets. And despite having regained half his strength from the sea turtle, the exertion of pulling 2,000 pounds 6 times had left him somewhat fatigued. He stored all the krill in a designated item slot within the system and immediately consumed over 300 milliliters of the purified S-grade freshwater, which whisked away his weariness and invigorated him with a refreshing vigor akin to that experienced after a workout. This S-grade freshwater was indeed a remarkable resource. Yichuan licked his lips, lamenting the painfully slow purification rate of such high-grade water. The daily yield barely sufficed for his own needs, and it seemed he would have to wait a while longer before the subordinate island lords could partake in it as well. After surveying the island and spending some time observing the weeding in the fields on Friday, Yichuan returned to his room, intending to rest until the afternoon. However, less than half an hour after entering, the alarm from the 3 little ones rang out from the sky, causing Yichuan's heart to tighten as he dashed out of his room. He saw Wangkai descending from above, and with a great leap, he seized its foot, instantly being whisked up to nearly 200 meters in the air, rapidly heading towards a specific location. 30 nautical miles away, a small boat was slowly making its way forward, carrying the mermaid and the 2 island lords. At that moment, the mermaid was nestled comfortably inside the cabin, sleeping, while the 2 island lords were rowing with all their might, not daring to rest for a moment. as if the slightest slackening of their efforts would result in the mermaid's wrath. Yechuan observed for several seconds, and without them noticing his presence, he was swiftly brought back to Turtle Island by Wang Kai. Now, Yechuan finally understood why the boat could glide across the water's surface. The underside was equipped with metal plates resembling the ice skates found in rinks, likely 3 blades that lifted the small vessel above the water. By simply using the oars to push against the ice surface with force, they could propel the boat forward at a speed at least 3 times greater than that of a typical vessel on the water. Who would have thought that he would encounter the second mermaid so soon? Walking back and forth upon the island, Yechuan felt a surge of excitement. After all, he had expended tremendous effort to vanquish the last mermaid, and if he were to engage this one using conventional methods, he feared he would still be no match for her. Contemplating, Yechuan promptly retrieved the remaining syringe of anesthesia and handed it to Wang Kai. He had previously observed that although the mermaid was asleep, at least half of its lower body was exposed, making it feasible to inject the substance from a height, just as he had done before. What else should he consider? He murmured anxiously, scanning his surroundings before nodding in affirmation. Indeed, it was imperative to avoid battling on the island, for it would be a tragedy to ruin the island they had painstakingly built. Friday, with a sudden realization, Yechuan called out loudly, "What is it, Brother Chuan?" Friday hurried over. "Come with me to fight," Yechuan declared solemnly. "Brother Chuan, I am a management robot, not a combat robot," Friday protested, raising his hands in exasperation. "You might have me set up a shelter or dismantle a locator, but now you want me to engage in battle? Isn't that a bit much? Ah, come on." Yechuan was momentarily at a loss for words in the face of Friday's righteous indignation. Chapter 118. If you wish to fight, then let us fight. Rubbing his forehead, Yechuan asked gravely, "What is your purpose?" "Of course, it is for field management." Friday responded matter-of-factly. "For whom do you manage the fields?" Yechuan pressed further. "For you, Brother Chuan." Friday replied again. "I am about to confront a mermaid whose combat prowess far exceeds my own. I cannot defeat it." Yechuan elucidated patiently. "If I engage in battle and am bested, I could be killed. You cultivate the land and find joy in it. Yet if I perish, your fields will vanish, and your happiness will be extinguished. You may even face reclamation and cease to exist in this world. Do you wish to vanish?" "Not at all." Friday shook his head vehemently. "Then you must assist me in this fight." Yechuan stepped closer, placing a hand on Friday's shoulder. "I am going to battle now. Think it over." With that, he disregarded Friday's protests and, accompanied by Wang Kai, made his way 20 nautical miles beyond Turtle Island. 3 minutes prior, Wang Kai had successfully administered the anesthetic to the mermaid's lower body. Although the mermaid had awoken and removed the syringe, the anesthetic had already entered its system. Glaring at the distant figure of Wang Kai, the mermaid seethed with rage. "Woo, brother fish. I fear the one we seek has already discovered us and is making a move." Island Master A respectfully stated. "Must we woo-woo?" The mermaid shot a fierce glare at Island Master A, who dared not utter another word. "Brother fish, look." At that moment, Island Master B shouted, pointing ahead. The mermaid turned to see a solitary figure traversing the icy expanse, appearing all alone in the vastness of the world. "Woo-woo-woo?" the mermaid murmured, brandishing a harpoon as it leapt from the small boat and strode purposefully toward Yechuan. "Brother fish, it is a pleasure to finally meet you." Yechuan greeted the mermaid with a warm smile. The mermaid was taken aback, staring incredulously at Yechuan. "You can actually converse with me? How fortuitous. For I happen to have studied the language of your kind." Yechuan chuckled, remarking how it was a surprise for him to be sought out from such a distance. "You fool. You have stolen my dagger. I came here to slay you and, in the process, claim your island for a fortune," the mermaid declared, her voice low as she slightly brandished her spear. "Before that, I have a question for you." Yechuan interjected. "How did your merfolk arrive in the novice area? And what are your intentions here? Do you think you, a lowly human, have the right to know?" The mermaid scoffed, stepping forward to launch an attack. Yechuan furrowed his brow as he observed the spear heading towards him. In an instant, he summoned his great blade, delivering a fierce strike forward. Clang! The sound rang out as the mermaid staggered back 2 steps, while Yechuan's body recoiled nearly 5 meters, leaving deep scratches on the icy surface. Upon arriving, Yechuan had crafted a pair of rudimentary spiked shoes, enabling him to grip the ice firmly and avoid being at a disadvantage due to the slick surface. The mermaid's astonishment was beyond measure. Her strength surpassed that of ordinary humans by more than 20-fold. Even seasoned island masters, whose physiques were greatly enhanced, struggled to triumph in one-on-one combat against a mermaid. The fact that this novice island master could match her strength was almost inconceivable. "Unless you are a seasoned island master?" the mermaid questioned, suspicion clouding her gaze. I ask you questions, yet you refuse to answer. Why should I respond to yours? Yichuan retorted, motioning with his fingers. Come on, let us continue. Today, you shall surely perish. The mermaid's expression darkened at Yichuan's arrogance, and she launched another assault. Yichuan remained focused, wielding his great blade as they engaged in combat, deploying his fighting techniques. However, the mermaid's speed gradually increased. Though Yichuan's strength was equal to hers, his agility lagged behind. Within 3 minutes, she discerned a flaw and struck fiercely with her spear towards Yichuan's back. Holding his breath, Yichuan sidestepped, swinging his blade backward just in time to block the spear. Nevertheless, the force of the impact propelled him forward. In a moment of crisis, he conjured a rotating crossbow, unleashing 8 bolts towards the mermaid. Clang, clang, clang. The mermaid was astoundingly swift. She managed to deflect 7 bolts before catching one in her hand. The immense force of the shot propelled the bolt forward several inches, piercing her skin nearly a centimeter deep before she firmly grasped it. You are quite impressive, having managed to wound me. The mermaid scoffed, discarding the bolt to the ground. I expected more from you. Are you not just another one of my defeated foes? Indeed. I may not be your match, and you could very well kill me, Yichuan acknowledged. Yichuan sighed helplessly and said, before I meet my end, could you enlighten me on the reason for your entry into the novice zone? No, you may remain blissfully ignorant. The mermaid shook her head defiantly, advancing toward Yichuan with the intent to deliver a fatal blow. Suddenly, 8 crossbow bolts whizzed through the air, catching the mermaid off guard. With her brow furrowed, she hastily attempted to defend herself. Yichuan leaped into action, wielding his blade with great force and aiming for the mermaid's shoulder. Unscathed? The mermaid exclaimed, momentarily distracted by the bolts. She raised her trident just in time to parry the blade's assault, but her other hand swiftly struck Yichuan in the chest. Having retreated the moment his initial attack failed, Yichuan felt the impact of her punch, though its force was significantly diminished, causing him only a sharp pain in his chest, almost as if it had cracked. Damn it! The mermaid gritted her teeth and yanked the crossbow bolt, embedded nearly 3 centimeters into her body, out. Blood flowed freely, making it appear as though she had 4 gaping wounds. Glaring at Yichuan from 10 meters away, the mermaid seethed with genuine fury. You have truly angered me, and I shall tear you to shreds. Yichuan let out a cold laugh, slowly rising and adopting a defensive stance once more. Compared to the previous mermaid, his progress was evident. However, to defeat her, he would likely need the sedative to take effect. Only 7 or 8 minutes had passed, meaning he still required that much time for the sedative to manifest its effects. Meanwhile, the injury to his sternum would not heal as swiftly as a superficial wound, taking at least a minute to mend completely. Yet, the mermaid was already on the move again. To hell with this. Just as Yichuan prepared to evade, a figure surged from behind, delivering a swift and powerful kick toward the mermaid. Boom. The mermaid transitioned from offense to defense, her trident crossed before her chest, bracing for the blow that sent her staggering back 5 or 6 steps. Friday, Yichuan exclaimed in exhilaration. Brother Chuan, I considered your request, and while it is rather excessive, I have decided to assist you this once. Friday responded, but I cannot engage in combat again after this. That is more than sufficient. Yichuan laughed heartily, pleasantly surprised by Friday's prowess. When I was created, some self-defense codes were embedded within me, Friday admitted, scratching his head. I possess a rudimentary understanding of them. Be careful. In that moment of conversation, the mermaid struck again. Yichuan immediately tossed the blade to Friday. I want her alive. Clang. In that instant, blade met trident, igniting a brilliant shower of sparks as both combatants staggered back. The mermaid was once again astonished. This guy's strength surpasses that of the previous one. With a huff, the mermaid glared at Friday and shouted, Grr? Brother Chuan. What is he saying? Friday asked suspiciously. He is insulting your mother. Yichuan replied with irritation. To my astonishment, this Friday, who seemed to possess a modicum of understanding about everything, was utterly clueless regarding the language of the merfolk. Ask your mother, he exclaimed in frustration, before hurling an insult and once more engaging in a fierce battle with the mermaid. After some time, his sternum had finally healed completely. Utilizing the system, Yichuan surreptitiously fashioned a hefty iron rod weighing 30 pounds from metal scraps, biding his time for the opportune moment to strike. 15 minutes had elapsed. Time flew by. Although Friday was gradually retreating, he managed to hold his ground, and the effects of the tranquilizer were finally taking hold. Indeed, at the moment a harpoon forced Friday back. The mermaid suddenly felt dizzy, as if the world were spinning around her, a most unpleasant sensation. How infuriating! She gritted her teeth, coldly regarding Friday as he charged once more, and in a fit of desperation, she bit her tongue, prepared to fight to the bitter end. Curse you! Friday, now truly enraged, shouted at the mermaid as he charged forward. With a resounding thud, the two collided, and in that instant, Yichuan struck the mermaid's nape with his makeshift club. The mermaid froze momentarily, turning her head to glance at Yichuan. He distinctly observed her eyes rotating in opposite directions several times before she offered him a polite grin, her body stiffening as she collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Brother Chuan, what manner of creature is this? Friday inquired. It seems formidable. An A-grade marine creature. And this is merely one. If a swarm were to come, we would truly be finished. Yichuan replied solemnly, handing Friday the ropes acquired earlier, instructing him to bind the mermaid securely to prevent her from escaping. Fear not, Brother Chuan, I possess some knowledge of binding techniques. Friday exclaimed eagerly. To Yichuan's surprise, Friday proved to be a veritable treasure trove of skills. Pondering this, he made his way outside the small boat. The leaders of islands A and B promptly leaped from their vessel, giving Yichuan a thumbs up. Boss, you are incredible. You dispatched that fishy fiend in no time. You are truly my idol. Do you two know why the mermaid ventured into the novice zone? Yichuan asked coldly, his eyelids drooping. Not a clue. She merely captured us without killing us. The leader of Island B replied. By the way, she was acquiring a medium-sized sailboat, seemingly to capture more people. Are you a genius? Yichuan furrowed his brow. Our boss is indeed astute. My ID is great genius, the leader of Island B retorted, turning the boat around to make a hasty exit. As Island B's leader attempted to engage further, Yichuan's words effectively silenced him. The leader of Island A, with a pitiful expression, pleaded, Brother, could you spare us some food? We haven't eaten in 2 days and are on the verge of starvation. If you do not leave within 10 seconds, I shall have no choice but to slay you, Yichuan declared, gripping his blade tightly. Without a moment's hesitation, the two turned their boat around and began to paddle with all their might. Yichuan then called upon the 3 little ones, bringing him, Friday, and the mermaid back to Turtle Island. System, how long will it take for this mermaid to awaken? He inquired, gazing at the securely bound mermaid. Approximately 6 hours. The system promptly responded. That means it will be evening, Yichuan mused, momentarily taken aback. All right, let us freeze her overnight and interrogate her first thing in the morning. Friday, you must keep a close watch on her. She absolutely cannot escape. After a brief contemplation, Yichuan hastily entered a room and sent a message in the public chat, willing to purchase ropes at a high price, preferably metal. Interested parties, please message me privately. Is someone really buying ropes? Are we expecting another tsunami or something? Last time, I was fortunate to have secured myself with ropes. Otherwise, I would have been done for. Are you foolish? With this weather, the sea is frozen solid. How could a tsunami possibly occur? I'm merely speculating. Is a personal attack necessary? I have ropes, a small whip, and low-temperature candles. It's a complete set. I wonder if the buyer would take the whole package. Do you also have handcuffs? How do you know? Just give me 20 kilograms of sea fish. Unless you throw in a girlfriend as a bonus. These people are utterly insane. Why do they veer off into such absurdities while chatting? Have they nothing better to do? Yichuan frowned, unable to suppress a low murmur as he began scrolling through private messages. Soon, a private message caught his attention. Hello, I have 20 meters of rope made from cowhide. Can we trade? Rope made from cowhide? Yichuan replied, I am curious, where did you obtain the cowhide? My island is essentially a forest spanning nearly 2,000 square meters, teeming with wild buffalo, which I have hunted using traps, came the response. Then you must have an abundant food supply. Why haven't you listed it for trade? Yichuan asked, astonished. With bones and meat. You must have at least 2,000 pounds. Uncertain of what the future holds, and with temperatures plummeting, I have no desire to trade essential supplies. I simply wish to survive. The other party replied. I currently have more than enough food and water. These are my only guarantees for survival. What do you seek to trade then? Yichuan asked, taken aback. Chapter 120, Tomato Braised Beef, Electric Shock Device. Ideally, I would like an island area expansion card. The other party stated without hesitation. I need to expand my island's area to secure more food and have a chance to enlarge the spring on my island. You have a spring on your island? Yichuan inquired, astonished. It was his first encounter with an island owner unconcerned about food and water, and who also understood that an island area expansion card could influence the island's evolution. Truly a surprising revelation. I have used an island area expansion card once, came the reply. This small spring was the result of that evolution. I possess an island area expansion card, but trading it for a single cowhide rope is far too unbalanced. After a moment of contemplation, Yichuan promptly declared, provide me with 10 kilograms of beef bones and 10 kilograms of fresh beef, and I shall exchange this island area expansion card with you. The other party hesitated. Consider it well, However, opportunities wait for no one. If someone else possesses a superior rope, I shall trade with them. Having delivered this statement, Yi Chuan ceased further communication. It was not until over 20 seconds had elapsed that the other party finally listed their offer. All right, but I can only provide you with 5 kilograms of beef. The remaining 5 kilograms will be substituted with beef brisket. That works, Yi Chuan replied, swiftly listing an island area expansion card, and the two completed the transaction. Yi Chuan immediately tossed the cowhide rope to Friday, instructing him to reinforce the mermaid's bindings. Before proceeding to blanch 3 kilograms of beef brisket in 10 grams of aged white liquor. He then added approximately 15 to 16 pounds of fresh water, a piece of ginger, Sichuan peppercorns, star anise, cinnamon, bay leaves, dried chili peppers, and set it to simmer. Out of the 4 tomatoes acquired in the previous transaction, only 1 remained. Fortunately, he had traded for 2 more, and while 3 tomatoes were somewhat insufficient, they would suffice for a delectable tomato and beef brisket stew. The wild cattle from this oceanic realm possessed meat even tougher than that of wild boars. After nearly 3 hours of cooking, the 15 to 16 pounds of water had reduced to a mere 3, finally rendering the meat tender and flavorful. He then added the chopped tomatoes, 3 tablespoons of salt, along with scallions and garlic, and began to simmer the mixture over high heat to reduce the liquid slightly. What is that intoxicating aroma? The mermaid, still in a state of stupor, twitched her nose multiple times within half an hour, eventually awakening. Who has bound me? Release me. Awake, are we? Yi Chuan inquired with a cheerful grin. To kill or to maim, do as you wish, but why must you bind me? The mermaid demanded, her voice laced with indignation. You insult me, then enlighten me about how your merfolk originated in the novice area and what your intentions are in coming here. Yi Chuan replied calmly, you shall never uncover that secret. The mermaid scoffed. Very well, you shall remain here for the night, and I expect you to divulge the information by tomorrow morning. Yi Chuan waved his hand dismissively and turned to leave. The mermaid struggled against her bindings, but alas, Friday's knot-tying skills were exceptionally adept, rendering her efforts futile. She then queried, what are you cooking? Why does it smell so delightful? Figure it out for yourself. Yi Chuan chuckled, turning around with the large pot as he entered the room. He divided the tomato and beef brisket stew into 7 portions, trading them to Zhao Feiyu and the other 6 individuals. I initially intended to keep it simple with some king crab, but upon receiving the brisket, I decided to prepare this dish instead. You didn't slay another wild bull, did you? Zhao Feiyu exclaimed in astonishment. It was well known that an adult wild bull was as formidable as 2 adult wild boars, and the mere fact that Yi Chuan could defeat a wild boar had already left Zhao Feiyu astounded. If he had indeed killed an adult wild bull, then, I wish I could, but there aren't many large animals left in my woods. Yi Chuan sighed. I acquired it through trade with other island owners. The revelation that someone could slay a wild bull left Zhao Feiyu in awe. Indeed, there are always greater talents beyond one's own. This world is indeed a realm of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. We often perceive ourselves as formidable, yet there undoubtedly exist individuals far more powerful than us. Yi Chuan remarked gravely, urging, so, let us strive. Strive. Zhao Feiyu responded with an expression of determination. After exchanging a few more words with the others, Yi Chuan began to savor his beef brisket while engrossed in a film. As the clock edged past 9 in the evening, Yi Chuan took a warm shower and, before retiring for the night, fed the remaining 5 or 6 pieces of beef brisket to the mermaid, leaving her in utter astonishment. What is this? Why is it so delicious? She inquired. You divulge to me how you arrived and your purpose, and I shall reveal my secrets to you. Yi Chuan replied with a smile. Consider it a fair trade, wouldn't you agree? Dream on, scoffed the mermaid. Very well, I shall indulge in dreams. Good night, Yi Chuan said, turning to return to his room. Seated on his bed, he perused the messages in the public chat room. The fellow earlier seemed truthful. I too witnessed a submarine, entirely white with a red stripe atop, surfacing just over 50 meters away, breaking through the ice to reveal the ocean. No way. Is that true? It sounds so fantastical. I have no reason to deceive you. I do not even know you, and lying serves no purpose for me. It's odd. How could a submarine appear in the novice area? What is so strange about it? A mermaid recently emerged here. I believed I was doomed, yet she swiftly retreated. Is the mermaid beautiful? Is her bun large? Is she fair-skinned? A male mermaid, no bun. Then can't we eat bananas? Yi Chuan frowned. Having lost interest in the ensuing chatter, it was evident that the submarine was roaming about, occasionally surfacing, seemingly in search of something, while 3 mermaids had already perished. One captured by him. He pondered how many more remained in the novice area. With these questions lingering, Yi Chuan eventually succumbed to slumber. After all, he had already captured the mermaid, It was only a matter of time before he pried open her secrets. Detected that the host has not yet signed in. Would you like to sign in? In a haze, Yichuan heard the system's prompt and slowly opened his eyes, sitting up. The time was just 6 o'clock. Though he had slept long enough, the dreams of the previous night left him feeling somewhat fatigued. Shaking his head to clear his mind, he proclaimed, "Sign in. Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have gained 1,000 evolution points, a stun device, and a feather fragment. Note: 3 feather fragments can be exchanged for an angel feather, which may lead to unexpected events. A stun device?" Yichuan was taken aback, gazing at the flashlight-like instrument, a grin spreading across his face. "Ah, dear system. How considerate of you. Knowing I would seek to pry open the mermaid's mouth today, you've gifted me such a splendid tool. This should be quite entertaining." Chapter 121. Stun device ineffective. Braised pork comes to the rescue? As thoughts swirled in his mind, Yichuan promptly approached the mermaid, only to find her fishtail wrinkled and unappealing, an unsettling sight indeed. Taken aback, he incredulously exclaimed, "How is it that in such humid air, your skin appears so parched?" The mermaid, struggling to articulate her predicament, responded, "I cannot be away from water for more than 12 hours. Otherwise, my tail will dry out, ultimately transforming me into a desiccated fish, thus losing my lower half." She implored, "Please, pour some water on my tail. Only if you divulge what I wish to know." Yichuan retorted without hesitation, "There are 7 of us." The mermaid declared outright, "I don't recall inquiring about that." Yichuan furrowed his brow. "Consider it a complimentary inquiry." The mermaid shouted, "Hurry, splash some water on my tail, or I shall reveal nothing further." "Wait." Yichuan waved his hand dismissively, fetching a bucket of water and dousing the enormous tail. Soon, the once wrinkled appendage regained its moisture and fullness, and a look of contentment spread across the mermaid's face. "Now, can you answer my question?" Yichuan inquired solemnly. "Question? What question?" The mermaid countered, "Did I ever promise to answer anything?" "Very well, just wait." Yichuan's expression darkened, choosing not to engage further. At least he had gleaned some useful information. 3 other mermaids still roamed the novice zone, and unless they were dealt with, they would undoubtedly continue to cause trouble. Patience was his only option. Thus, Yichuan prepared 8 king crabs, tossing 1 to each of the 7 individuals. Once they had finished their meal, he adeptly tended to the chicks and milked the goats. After completing these tasks, he returned to the mermaid, producing a stun device. "What is that?" The mermaid scrutinized the device. Yichuan grinned mischievously, prodding her moist tail with it, producing a cacophony of crackling sounds. Bound as she was, the mermaid cried out in pain, smoke curling from her mouth. "How about that? Shouldn't you provide some answers now?" Yichuan chuckled. "Delightful. Do it again." The mermaid laughed heartily. "Then I shall ensure your enjoyment lasts." Yichuan paused momentarily, then increased the voltage to maximum, splashing another bucket of water on her before striking again. Visible arcs of white electricity coursed over the mermaid's body, despite her immense strength and resilience. She succumbed after 10 seconds, her eyes rolling back as she fainted. "Is she really that feeble? Perhaps the tranquilizer effects haven't worn off?" Yichuan murmured, awakening her with a bucket of icy water. To his surprise, the mermaid laughed. "Ah, that was exhilarating. Continue. Is this fool exhibiting a penchant for masochism?" Yichuan frowned. The intensity of the electricity he had just administered would likely be fatal to a human, yet she seemed unperturbed, suggesting that mermaids possessed an extraordinary capacity for endurance. Yichuan reluctantly stowed away the stun device and said gravely, "My friend, I strongly advise you to answer my questions honestly. It is but a matter of a few sentences. There is no need to remain tight-lipped. I have made it clear that you shall never know." The mermaid scoffed. "My kind will never be enslaved." With a slight shake of his head, Yichuan chose not to engage further and turned to leave. This individual was indeed impervious to both persuasion and coercion. It was evident that a clever strategy was required to extract information from him. Having consumed the S-level freshwater produced over a span of several hours, Yichuan settled before his super tablet, contemplating methods to pry open the mermaid's lips. Who has implements of the infamous 10 tortures of the Qing dynasty will pay handsomely for them. The audacity of someone seeking such instruments was rather puzzling. Were they simply seeking thrills out of sheer boredom? "I possess a whip, candles, and small handcuffs. Would the esteemed individual be interested?" A mere 10 kilograms of sea fish would suffice for a transaction. Yichuan found himself intrigued by the rationale behind such acquisitions. Even for amusement, there seemed to be no justification for such peculiar items. Truly, the world was full of oddities, and it was hardly surprising that someone would seek them. Numerous discussions ensued, predominantly among those boasting and exaggerating. Yichuan shook his head and resumed browsing the trading interface. His krill trade was nearly complete. Flipping through just a couple of pages, he stumbled upon other trading offers. Though the desired items eluded him, he was pleasantly surprised to find soy sauce, vinegar, and rock sugar, each in a mere kilogram. Given that his recent meals had become rather bland, these would indeed enhance the flavors of his ingredients. Upon reviewing the offer, he noted that the trio was bundled for an exchange of 20 kilograms of sea fish, which seemed quite reasonable. Without engaging in private chat, Yichuan promptly presented the required 20 kilograms of sea fish to complete the transaction. With this, could he perhaps prepare a delectable braised pork for lunch? After waiting by the super tablet for a while longer without locating his sought-after items, Yichuan sighed and turned to prepare his meal. Similar to cooking beef brisket, he first blanched 10 pounds of pork belly in 10 grams of premium liquor, then drained it, adding a small amount of lard along with scallions and ginger to render the fat from the pork. Following this, he incorporated 2 tablespoons of soy sauce and 30 grams of rock sugar, stirring for a moment before adding around 15 to 16 pounds of water along with spices, and commenced the simmering process. "What on earth are you cooking? It smells even better than yesterday," the mermaid exclaimed in astonishment half an hour later. However, Yichuan did not hear her inquiry, as he was busy with his fishing. Despite the sea turtle having ventured far through the night, he continued to catch krill, managing to haul in an impressive 6,000 pounds during the interval of preparing the braised pork. He set aside 2,000 pounds for trading basic supplies, while preserving the remaining 4,000 pounds, ensuring the sea turtle would have food for another 6 days. As noon approached, the braised pork had been stewing for an hour and a half. Yichuan swiftly turned up the heat, adding 3 crushed cloves of garlic to begin the final reduction. "Brother, what exactly are you doing? Why does it smell so divine?" The mermaid could no longer contain her curiosity, once again inquiring. "What obligation do I have to inform you?" Yichuan retorted dismissively. The mermaid was momentarily taken aback, falling silent until the broth began to thicken and the braised pork glistened with a rich red hue, its tantalizing aroma wafting throughout the island. At that moment, the mermaid exclaimed, "Allow me to taste what you have prepared, and I shall reveal the answer." "Is that truly the case?" Yichuan narrowed his eyes. "I swear on the future of my merfolk kin." The mermaid insisted anxiously, "Hurry." After contemplating for a few seconds, Yichuan finally picked up a piece of braised pork and placed it into the mermaid's mouth. As it entered, the tender morsel yielded to her bite, releasing a burst of savory juices, and the mermaid's eyes sparkled with delight. "Is this what your kind consumes? It is simply exquisite. Now, might you enlighten me with the answer to my question?" Yichuan inquired, sitting across from her, articulating each word with precision. "Of course, but you must grant me another piece." The mermaid promptly replied, "Are you attempting to deceive me into providing you with more braised pork under the pretense of answering my question?" Yichuan furrowed his brow and could not restrain his anger. "I have sworn by the future of my people. Do you still doubt me?" The mermaid replied earnestly, "I have not had my fill. Quickly, another piece." "Blast it." Yichuan cursed, then handed her another piece of braised pork. The mermaid relished it heartily, licking her lips before stating, "Our entry here is thanks to a large octopus. Several of its tentacles extended into the seabed of your novice area, which caused a fissure to open, and it is through that gap that we entered. Since you discovered that fissure, why did only the 7 of you come through, rather than the entire merfolk tribe?" Yichuan asked again. "What a splendid question." The mermaid chuckled before explaining, "We have always operated in teams of 7, divided into several squads to search for the entrance to the novice area. Ultimately, it was our squad that located it, thus allowing our entry. And the purpose?" At last, Yichuan posed the pivotal question. "We are essentially the vanguard. Once we activate the locator, the bulk of our merfolk army will follow, thereby taking all of you novice island owners hostage." The mermaid boasted, "This is in order to coerce Zhao Taifeng." "Who is Zhao Taifeng?" Yichuan's lips curled in question. "He is a seasoned island owner who has thrived in the ocean world for 18 years, regarded as one of the most formidable among the veteran island lords." The mermaid elucidated, but then she opened her mouth towards Yichuan. "Oh, damn it," he exclaimed, tossing her another piece of braised pork. "Hee hee." The mermaid laughed, finishing her morsel before continuing. "In one of our territories, there exists an iron mine with a staggering iron content of 83. Zhao Taifeng discovered it. And not only did he seize our land, but he also imprisoned over 30,000 of our kin, including our prince. Our strategy to take you novice island owners hostage is to negotiate with Zhao Taifeng, demanding the return of our territory and the release of our people. Why do you not confront him directly, instead directing your intentions toward us?" Yichuan inquired with suspicion. "Did I not mention that he is among the most formidable forces among the veteran island lords, boasting over 100 warships and thousands of powerful warriors? If we rashly engage him in battle, the consequences would be dire. Ah, now I understand, Yi Chuan said, enlightenment dawning upon him. Detected that the host has discerned the reason for the mermaid's impending invasion of the novice area within the ocean world within a fortnight. Hidden mission completed, surprise gift package awarded. Would you like to open it? So sudden? Yi Chuan's expression shifted, a faint smile gracing his lips as he promptly declared, open. Opening the lucky gift package. Congratulations. Host has received Evolution Value Package 1, 50 kilograms of flour, Resource Package 1 goodness. In the past, I would have received a crafting blueprint. This time, it has been replaced with 100 gene of flour? Yi Chuan's eyes sparkled with excitement. It seemed that dumplings were on the horizon. Buddy, if you can serve me another piece of braised pork, I'll bestow upon you a question. The mermaid interjected, noticing Yi Chuan's ramblings. What could you possibly say that is worth my attention? Yi Chuan retorted dismissively. For instance, when will the two major regions merge? The mermaid pondered. Surely, you are unaware of this. What major regions? Yi Chuan asked, perplexed. One hand delivers meat, the other speaks. The mermaid asserted without hesitation. Yi Chuan furrowed his brow, but, grateful for the abundance of braised pork, promptly served another piece to the mermaid. Upon finishing her meal, the mermaid immediately stated, the 30 million novice island lords worldwide do not actually reside within a single novice area. The human population in the Jiuzhou region is concentrated in one major area, totaling 10 million, while another major area, consisting of 20 million, is home to novice island lords from all other nations. That cannot be true. If that were the case, why have we not learned of this? Yi Chuan questioned, bewildered. Moreover, the previous island lords never seemed to address this issue. Because the novice period lasts 6 months, and in the 4th month, the two major regions will merge, inevitably leading to a fierce conflict. The mermaid chuckled, explaining that the island lords would mistakenly believe that the foreign novice island lords were simply rising to power. In reality, the novice island lords from the foreign region have already engaged in battles within their respective area, and their overall strength far surpasses that of your Jiuzhou. Is that true? System? Observing the mermaid's sincerity, Yi Chuan turned to the system with curiosity. There exists a transparent barrier between the two major regions, obscuring the identities of the novice areas. After 4 months, the barrier will dissipate, and the two major regions will naturally merge into one. At that time, the super tablet will upgrade from a regional channel to a world channel, the system elucidated. Then, does it imply that the foreign region is undergoing similar trials as we are? Yi Chuan mused somberly. Indeed, the starting point for both major regions is identical. The system replied, damn it, there is indeed a hidden layer to this matter, and it is astonishing that no island lord has raised a question after all these years. Yi Chuan stamped his feet in frustration. Did no one notice that everyone in the public chat room was speaking in Chinese? Were they all rendered speechless by this revelation? The mermaid chuckled, saying, we, the merfolk, only discovered this secret after nearly a century of observation. Not only you from the 9 provinces, but the island lords of other countries are also oblivious to it. Indeed, practice is the sole criterion for testing truth. Yi Chuan was exasperated. After 3 years of studying marine survival, he felt he had learned nothing of value. In truth, it matters little whether you are aware of this situation. The foreign regions have been embroiled in fierce battles among nations, while your internal competition within the 9 provinces has rendered you no match for them. The mermaid said calmly. Thus, your losses have been severe. 1 million might only allow you to survive with a mere 20,000. This is a secret that holds significant importance for me. Yi Chuan looked at the mermaid, initially contemplating killing her after all was said and done, but now he harbored new thoughts about her. What do you intend to do with me? Upon noticing Yi Chuan's peculiar gaze, the mermaid's heart sank. Surely he did not plan to make her his island mistress? I am a male. Chapter 123. Betraying one's clan for the sake of delicacies? My intention is for you to gather the other 3 merfolk, and the 4 of you shall venture into the foreign regions to wreak havoc. Yi Chuan spoke in a low voice. It would be best to eliminate all the promising novice island lords. Are you out of your mind? The mermaid laughed immediately. Our mission is to guide the main forces of the merfolk. Capturing you is one thing, but you want to tempt me to the foreign regions? What are you thinking? At least you would survive. Yi Chuan retorted coldly. Do not forget, I initially intended to kill you. Sparing your life means you owe me one. So why would you refuse to assist me? That would essentially make me a traitor to my clan. The mermaid scoffed. You have already betrayed them by answering my question. Yi Chuan waved his hand dismissively. My friend, if I treat you to a feast of braised pork and later invite you for dumplings, would you gather the other 3? What are dumplings? The mermaid's interest was piqued. Are they even tastier than braised pork? Of course. Yi Chuan replied earnestly. We can discuss this later. I must first taste the dumplings. The mermaid insisted. Then summon the other 3 merfolk at once. This matter is urgent. Yichuan urged. I have already notified them in our merfolk's unique way. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, they should arrive tonight. The mermaid replied solemnly, at that time. Your island will be drenched in blood. What? Yichuan's heart tightened. Suddenly, he recalled a previous island lord mentioning that a mermaid had come ashore, but left again. Perhaps it was due to this individual's notification? Fear not. Until you have tasted the dumplings, you will remain quite safe. The mermaid softly spoke, however. I believe you may release me now. Otherwise, when my 3 brothers arrive, what do you think your chances are? I will only let you go after I have enjoyed my lunch. Yichuan replied solemnly. Only by participating can one truly feel a sense of accomplishment. This afternoon, we shall collaborate on making dumplings. With that, Yichuan turned and departed. It was now evident that this mermaid was quite the glutton. As she was willing to betray her kind for the sake of food, it remained uncertain whether a mere plate of dumplings could capture her heart. At that moment, Yichuan traded the still-warm braised pork to 7 individuals. Lu Yi was astonished. Is this braised pork truly so authentic? Surprised, aren't you? Yichuan quipped with a wink. Today, I managed to trade for soy sauce, vinegar, and even sugar, so I will prepare this dish of braised pork right away. I miss my mother. Lu Yi suddenly became melancholic, recalling how, when she had a cold, her mother would make her favorite braised pork. The last time she had tasted her mother's cooking was 3 months prior. Once the beginner phase is over, I will have Annie make some for you. Yichuan chuckled. The environment is becoming increasingly dire. Will we be able to endure until the novice period concludes? Lu Yi still felt sorrowful. Do not worry, we shall. Yichuan expressed with determination. With me here, all impossibilities will become possibilities. Indeed, Lu Yi replied earnestly. Meanwhile, on a distant island nearly 1,000 seas away, Lu Yi, dressed in warm clothing, held the braised pork, tears streaming down her face. This bowl of braised pork had utterly broken her defenses. She initially contemplated messaging Yichuan, asking him to locate her and come to fetch her to his island. But after some thought, she refrained from sending the message. As she savored the braised pork, Yichuan glanced at the public chatroom's messages. Today, I used an iron spear to carve a 10-centimeter diameter hole in the ice and astonishingly caught a sea fish weighing over 2 pounds, likely having jumped up due to a lack of oxygen. Such good fortune. I must try this as well. If I can indeed catch sea fish, not only will we have food, but I'll also safeguard our resources for trading for krill. Be cautious of other marine creatures' attacks. In this situation, it is not only the sea fish that require fresh air. What the heck? I will give it a shot. With no useful information at hand, Yichuan quickly finished a bowl of braised pork along with a piece of steamed bun, before tossing the remaining dozen pieces of braised pork to the mermaid and loosening her bindings. Yichuan was also on guard against her. The 3 little ones lay in wait in the shadows, ready to spring into action at the slightest sign of trouble. Clearly, Yichuan had made the right bet. This character was indeed a foodie. She paid no attention to him, diving into the braised pork with gusto. And only after a few minutes did she look up with a contented expression, saying, Your human food is truly irresistible. I eagerly anticipate the taste of the dumplings tonight. Follow me. Yichuan, accompanied by the mermaid, approached a smooth stone nearby. He set up a makeshift chopping board and placed 5 kilograms of beef upon it, instructing her, Use your harpoon to pound this meat into a paste. My weapon is meant for slaying, and you ask me to smash a piece of meat? The mermaid retorted, her anger palpable. This is a crucial step in making dumplings. If you desire to savor them, you must comply, Yichuan replied with a serious demeanor. I hope you are not jesting. She glared at him for a full minute before reluctantly accepting the weapon and began to pound the beef. Meanwhile, Yichuan took out Sichuan pepper, star anise, cinnamon, and fennel, placing them into a mortar to grind. While 5-spice powder would have been ideal, he lacked cloves and had to make do with the remaining 4 spices. Once the spices were reduced to a powder, he chopped 5 stalks of green onion and 2 tails of minced ginger, then sat down to await the mermaid's progress with the beef. During this time, he pondered aloud. With the formidable combat strength of your kind, I find it hard to believe that Zhao Taifeng and his powerful fleet could possibly rival you, especially considering the sheer number of 30,000 warriors. We merfolk are divided into warriors and commoners, the mermaid explained. That area was inhabited entirely by ordinary merfolk. Otherwise, how could Zhao Taifeng have succeeded? Oh, Yichuan nodded slightly. Our population exceeds 10 million, with 8 million being common merfolk and 2 million warriors, she declared with enthusiasm. In the outer seas, we are unrivaled, making even the seasoned island lords and fierce marine creatures think twice. I once witnessed a mermaid severed in half, her harpoon shattered. Yi Chuan interjected. You can traverse the novice zone with ease, yet 2 of you perished due to infighting? Who said we can walk unhindered in the novice zone? The mermaid's face momentarily flickered with fear as she vehemently countered. If we encounter that creature, our only option is to flee. Chapter 124. The merfolk's arch-nemesis, the shark? What exactly is this creature that instills such terror in you? Yi Chuan inquired with curiosity. After all, as an A-grade marine creature, they should be among the most powerful beings in the sea. Surely only that submarine could defeat them effortlessly in the novice zone. It is a shark. Upon uttering this, the mermaid involuntarily shivered. I have slain several sharks. Yi Chuan replied, somewhat irritated. To think you, so formidable, fear sharks. Does that mean if I conquer a few sharks, I could easily defeat you? If you can conquer that shark, I will kneel and call you father, she exclaimed loudly after casting a glance at him. You truly have never seen the world, harboring such delusions of conquering that shark. Have you been kicked in the head by a donkey? Just focus on smashing the beef thoroughly. Yi Chuan shot her an exasperated look before retrieving the 5 kilograms of beef bones, breaking them apart, and beginning to boil them in a large pot. This time, the host must cater not only to this glutton, but also to 3 other mermaids. I must showcase my culinary skills to impress them. However, preparing beef bones requires a variety of spices, and currently, Yi Chuan only possesses a few essential ingredients. Yet, it seems these mermaids have not savored anything more delectable, so I conservatively estimate that I can manage to impress them. A delightful meal of dumplings and beef bones awaits. Nevertheless, as the saying goes, the more one drinks, the merrier it becomes. With both Erguo Tu and Lao Baigon already consumed, the absence of alcohol would surely render the occasion less enjoyable. Thus, Yi Chuan promptly dashed back to his room and sent a message in the public chat room. 10L of fresh water, seeking to purchase white liquor, not much required. Eager for a swift transaction. Wow, this big shot lives so well, already pursuing fine spirits? Someone mused. Has anyone ever offered liquor? How come I am unaware of this? I've been drinking since I was 15, with quite the craving for it. If anyone has some to spare, I would greatly appreciate a few dozen milliliters. Devoting my youth to small gatherings of alcohol, drowning in intoxication seems to be the way to live. It appears this big shot is also a person of passion. Dear, are you speaking of me? Do you have any liquor? Who do you think you are, just a beggar asking for handouts? I am referring to the big shot seeking to purchase white liquor. Dare to insult me? It seems you are courting disaster. Suddenly, the public chat room buzzed with excitement. Wang Sanrui witnessed this scene and immediately sent each one a private message. Friend, I have 2 bottles of 15 liters, 52, proof, done Daelu. Are you interested? Surely, you wouldn't be keen on that 10L of fresh water? Yi Chuan quickly replied, you are correct. 2 bottles equate to 3L. Is such a conversion feasible? Wang Sanrui calmly responded, I require 20L of fresh water and 20 kilograms of shrimp. My friend, your appetite is rather large. Yi Chuan frowned slightly and replied, I don't have much fresh water left. This is my most sincere offer. I too am a lover of spirits, yet I have hesitated to indulge. If I were to easily part with it, would I still be myself? Wang Sanrui stated with composure. He felt confident that Yi Chuan would accept his proposal. With sufficient food stored, he only needed the 20L of fresh water to sustain himself for quite some time. As for the 20 kilograms of shrimp, they would certainly allow him to extract a hefty profit from the subordinate island lords. All right, I assure you my liquor is indeed valuable. Otherwise I would not propose a trade. Yi Chuan weighed his options. Both fresh water and shrimp were virtually inexhaustible at this moment, making the exchange for 3L of dun Daelu quite a bargain. Thus, the two promptly completed their transaction. Looking at the 2 items before him, Wang Sanrui bore a hint of skepticism. Currently, the substantial portions of food and fresh water listed on the super tablet, along with this fellow's sporadic high-priced acquisitions, all originate from him. Who exactly is this individual? He must possess a wealth of valuable goods. If I can secure a favorable relationship with him, I shall surely navigate the novice phase without worry. As he spoke, Wang Sanrui produced the positioning tracker from his hand, narrowing his eyes in determination. It's about time. For nearly 2 hours, the sounds of mermaids echoed outside. Yi Chuan ventured out for a moment and confirmed that the preparations had indeed transformed into a delightful mess. He nodded with satisfaction. Very good. Now it's my turn. He then placed all the beef into a large iron basin, adding 4 fragrant spices, chopped green onions, minced ginger, 4 generous tablespoons of soy sauce, and 3 spoons of salt. After a few vigorous minutes of stirring, he carried the mixture into the room. What is next? The mermaid asked, bewildered. You should rest for a bit. Shortly, I will teach you how to make dumplings. Yi Chuan replied. Promptly retrieving nearly 15 pounds of flour to knead until it formed a dough, which he then set aside to rest quietly. I must say, this island of yours is astonishingly a colossal sea turtle, the mermaid exclaimed, circling the island in disbelief. Even in the open sea, I have never encountered such a gigantic sea turtle. It's rather fortunate, Yichuan chuckled, that my island happens to be a sea turtle. That shouldn't be the case, the mermaid remarked thoughtfully, stroking her chin. Whether in the open sea or the zones of life, no island lord has ever utilized a sea turtle as their island. It would hinder their development. That is my concern, not yours. Yichuan replied curtly. Now, enough chatter. Come help me make dumplings. It promises to be quite enjoyable. The mermaid's expression brightened, and she followed Yichuan into the room. After Yichuan had pressed out several dozen dumpling wrappers, she instructed, just follow my method. With that, she began to wrap the dumplings in slow motion. The mermaid imitated him. Although her technique was slow and rather unsightly, she succeeded, which filled her with a sense of accomplishment. Wow, I can actually cook. What do you merfolk usually eat? Yichuan inquired, bemused, as this creature seemed remarkably vulnerable to food. Anything available. Sometimes we even experiment with seaweed, the mermaid answered candidly. Yichuan couldn't help but smirk. No wonder she had such a weakness for food. Her existence was hardly more sophisticated than that of a tiger. At least a tiger could feast on meat. This creature merely dined on fish, and was an omnivore to boot. As night fell, the duo had successfully wrapped nearly 40 pounds of dumplings, over 1,200 in total. The mermaid let out a long sigh of relief. Goodness, that was no easy feat. It felt akin to engaging in battle. The beef bones are nearly done. Once the dumplings are boiled, we can finally eat, Yichuan announced. Suddenly, 3 little ones began to chirp excitedly, and the mermaid's expression changed as she dashed outside. Chapter 125. Dumplings and wine. The more you eat, the more you crave. Yichuan's heart raced as he readied his blade and rotating crossbow. Although he had managed to communicate with the gluttonous mermaid, the situation with the other 3 remained uncertain. Shrouded in mystery, when the situation necessitates, one must rely on oneself for self-preservation, temporarily allowing Wonkai to elevate him into the air. However, should it come to that, if the 4 mermen ravage his island, would not the fruits of his labor over the past month be rendered utterly futile? System. Is there any method to simultaneously eliminate the 4 mermen? Yichuan inquired in a deep tone. As anticipated, the system remained silent. Yichuan took a deep breath and strode out of the room. Before him, the 4 mermen had gathered. Upon seeing Yichuan, the 3 mermen prepared to strike, but were halted by the gluttonous merman. What are you doing? We are all on the same side. The leader exclaimed. What do you mean, same side? Have you forgotten our purpose for entering the novice zone? Another retorted incredulously. You should also be aware that the locator has been destroyed. Princess and the others cannot possibly find us here, the gluttonous merman asserted seriously. Moreover, given that the fissure is healing automatically within the novice zone, we may never return. Then let us capture all the humans in the novice zone. Once we surpass it, we can trade them for hostages with Zhao Tiexing, another merman suggested. Capture hundreds of thousands of people? Is that feasible? The gluttonous merman scoffed. Even if we could, how will you provide them with food and fresh water? The 3 mermen exchanged glances, visibly conflicted. This is my newly made human friend. We've just prepared a meal. Let us eat first before discussing anything else. The gluttonous merman asserted firmly, raising a hand in warning. I caution you all, no one shall act without my permission. Very well, since the captain has spoken. We cannot argue further, the 3 mermen reluctantly agreed, suppressing their murderous intent for the moment. Yichuan secretly exhaled in relief, smiling as he declared, Come, let us indulge in some dumplings. At that moment, the water in the pot had reached a boil, and Yichuan promptly added over 200 dumplings. The 3 mermen looked on with curiosity. Captain, what is this? This is called dumplings. It is a form of food. Such ignorance is truly alarming. The gluttonous merman rolled his eyes at the trio, feeling that their presence diminished his taste and stature. Food. Something to eat? The 3 gazed at one another, their faces filled with intrigue. After about 5 minutes of boiling, Yichuan prepared to serve, having added 2 spoonfuls of salt to prevent sticking. Each person received 50 dumplings, a platter of beef bones, a dish of vinegar, and a cup of potent liquor. Yichuan smiled, saying, This can be considered a cross-species friendship. We in the Jojo region enjoy drinking when hosting friends. Fortunately, I have some liquor, but do sip it slowly to avoid choking. With that, he raised his cup and took a small sip. The liquor was quite strong, yet after swallowing, it revealed a remarkably smooth texture, offering a distinct flavor compared to the harsh Baijiu and Erguo too. This is rather delightful. The gluttonous merman's expression shifted. This is called liquor? What in the world is this? It tastes so exquisite. At this moment, a mermaid tentatively took a bite of the meat on the beef bone and immediately exclaimed with excitement. However, I still find this delicacy called dumplings to be exquisite. I have never tasted anything so delightful in my life. Another mermaid chimed in, equally thrilled. The discerning mermaid shifted her expression but maintained a serious tone, admonishing, "Look at your naive faces. You are truly embarrassing me. Haven't you heard our human friends say that one must drink first before indulging in meat? Yes, yes, let us drink first." The three eagerly nodded, raising their cups only to be choked by the drink, which further irritated the discerning mermaid. "Did I not say to sip? Are your ears clogged with filth? You are tarnishing the reputation of our merfolk." The three mermaids, chastised, could only comply and began to feast heartily. "You all enjoy your meal. I shall fetch some dumplings for my friends," each one said with a smile, promptly boiling a pot of dumplings. Scooping 30 dumplings per plate along with a small dish of vinegar, which he distributed among the 7. "Today is your lucky day. Enjoy the dumplings." "You actually have dumplings?" Zhao Feiyu exclaimed in astonishment. "Did you just procure the flour?" "Fortune smiled upon me. I just made it today and immediately prepared beef dumplings." Each one boasted, relieved to have secured the vinegar, as dipping dumplings in vinegar is simply irresistible. "I recall during my time in the military, we would gather to eat dumplings during festivals. I suddenly miss my comrades," Zhao Feiyu remarked nostalgically. "Once the novice period passes, you shall reunite," each one comforted. "It has already been a month. Only 5 months remain, right?" "Indeed," Zhao Feiyu chuckled, quickly responding. "All right, let us enjoy the dumplings while they are still warm." "Good," each one replied, engaging in a few more exchanges with others before returning to the mermaids. "Hey, is there more of that wine? It's quite delightful," the gluttonous mermaid asked as soon as he sat down. "Yes, plenty." Each one laughed heartily, promptly pouring more wine for the mermaid. "Brother, are there any dumplings left?" "I've finished mine," another mermaid inquired, holding an empty plate. "Yes, there are more in abundance," each one assured, serving another 30 dumplings to the mermaid. "Don't just eat dumplings, savor the meat and drink. Cheers, let us drink." The 3 mermaids nodded vigorously, lifting their cups for a hearty gulp. As the wine flowed and dishes were savored, rosy hues adorned the faces of the 4 mermaids, while the gluttonous mermaid, eyelids drooping, could not help but express satisfaction. "Ah, this is truly delightful. Shall we continue discussing my idea?" each one inquired with a smile. The gluttonous mermaid laughed heartily, throwing an arm around Yi Chuan's shoulder. "Brother, whatever idea you have, feel free to share. What is it that I cannot assist you with? I have already mentioned this to you. It involves your journey to another major region to eliminate those foreign island masters with potential and talent," each one said with a grin. At this proclamation, all 4 mermaids were rendered speechless. The gluttonous mermaid retracted her arm and coughed lightly, saying, "Brother, while other ideas may be acceptable, this particular one seems rather unwise. I suggest you consider an alternative." "What does that mean? Did you not just claim that you could assist me with anything?" each one queried, a hint of suspicion in his voice. The gluttonous mermaid pressed her lips together, seemingly reluctant to elaborate. "The crux of the matter lies in the fact that the shark is lurking near that fissure we simply cannot approach." A mermaid finally divulged the truth. Chapter 126. The Identity of the Submarine, a Great White Shark? "What kind of shark could instill such fear in you?" each one inquired, perplexed. "Could it possibly be a giant hammerhead?" "A giant hammerhead? What a joke!" The gluttonous mermaid scoffed. "If I were to catch it, I could easily tear it in half with a mere show of strength. Could it be a common small shark then?" each one speculated once more. "Small shark? That is a large shark," the gluttonous mermaid retorted sharply. "If you are ignorant, refrain from making wild guesses. Then why is this large shark lingering near that fissure?" each one asked, bewildered. "In another sector, something is drawing it in. It desires to traverse to that area," one mermaid explained. "However, the fissure is barely 5 meters wide, and it cannot pass through. Ha ha ha. 5 meters, and it cannot get through." Each one's eyes widened in realization. Now he comprehended that the large shark they referred to was indeed colossal. But what kind of shark could be so immense? A shark spirit. Could we possibly widen the fissure to allow that large shark to pass through? Each one suggested. "If we could do that, our area would be secure." "Oh brother, what fanciful thoughts you entertain." The gluttonous mermaid chuckled disdainfully. "That large shark is exceedingly ferocious. It would seek to tear you apart upon sight. Do you truly believe you have time to expand the fissure? Moreover, this is merely our conjecture. What if it does not wish to go to another sector? Would we not then be in grave danger?" That indeed posed a significant concern. Each one pressed his lips together in contemplation. At this moment, his mind turned to the submarine. Even if it was a large shark, wouldn't the submarine stand a decent chance against it? "By the way, are you aware of a submarine?" each one inquired further. "Damn, Just the mention of that submarine infuriates me. The gluttonous mermaid took another sip of her drink and exclaimed loudly, "That submarine belongs to Zhao Taifeng and is specifically tasked with hunting us down. It has even followed us into the novice zone." Nearby, another mermaid chuckled softly and remarked, "However, according to the rules of this novice zone, as an established island master, he cannot allow the novice island masters to notice him, nor can he engage with them. Otherwise, he would face sanctions and be erased from existence. Ha ha ha. Then why does he consistently appear near the islands of the island masters, drawing their attention?" Yi Chuan questioned suspiciously. "Perhaps he is searching for us. But that fool simply cannot find us. Ha ha ha." The gluttonous mermaid erupted into laughter once more, exclaiming, "Enough talk. Let us drink. Ha ha ha." Yi Chuan, contemplating within himself, chose not to dwell further on the matter, pouring another drink and downing it. It was not until the four mermaids lay incapacitated on the ground, bubbles escaping their lips, that Yi Chuan tidied up the aftermath, placing the remaining 700 frozen dumplings into the refrigerator before retreating to his room. Zhao Feiyu sent a message. "Are you aware of that submarine that has been frequently sighted? What is the situation?" Yi Chuan replied, "That submarine was pursuing the mermaids from the open sea and ultimately entered our novice area through a fissure. It belongs to Zhao Tiefeng's subordinates." Zhao Taifeng. Zhao Feiyu was taken aback. "Yes, do you know him?" Yi Chuan inquired. "I have heard of him, but we are not acquainted," Zhao Feiyu responded, before asking again. "Do you know how to contact that submarine? It would be good to inquire why the novice area has become what it is now. As a veteran island master, he cannot allow us novices to discover his presence, nor can he communicate with us, lest he face sanctions from the novice area and be obliterated." Yi Chuan replied, "So, perhaps it is best to leave it alone." "I see." Zhao Feiyu's brows tightened, and the joy that had previously graced his face vanished. "I understand now. The long night stretches ahead. We should rest." After Yi Chuan sent his reply, he glanced at the public chat room. Alas, on the third day of the freeze, not a single supply crate has been salvaged, and I have traded all my resources for krill, leaving me with nothing, back to square one. Damn it. As nightfall approached, he witnessed a massive fish, measuring 20 meters in length, break through the ice, only to plunge back in with a splash. To his astonishment, 3 supply crates erupted forth, containing sausages, bread, and bottled water. What a stroke of luck. A 20-meter-long fish. Could it be a whale shark? He pondered. But whale sharks only reach 13 or 14 meters at most. It is hard to fathom what kind of fish it could be. Yet, this is the ocean, so it could be anything. Time for sleep. What time is it anyway? Let fate decide. Yi Chuan mused. Was the enormous fish described by that individual the dreaded shark they spoke of? He promptly messaged the island master, "My friend, what does the large fish you mentioned look like? It resembles a shark, but it is much larger than any shark I have seen." I did not get a good look, but what struck me most were its teeth, each as large as my palm. The reply came swiftly. "I fear it may launch a surprise attack on me in the dead of night, leaving me no choice but to be devoured." Such large teeth? Yi Chuan murmured in disbelief. System, could the creature he described truly be a shark? Do such gigantic sharks exist? Yi Chuan inquired seriously. Megalodon. The system responded promptly. It is the pinnacle of A-class marine life, possessing terrifying combat power capable of effortlessly destroying a submarine. Megalodon. Yi Chuan exclaimed in shock. But isn't the megalodon already extinct? The system remained silent. However, Yi Chuan pondered that if creatures like mermaids existed, what was so extraordinary about the existence of the megalodon? Nevertheless, the megalodon was indeed one of the most terrifying entities in the ocean, capable of preying on even the largest of whales. To the system's assessment, it astonishingly still fell within the category of A-class marine creatures. What then could be the sheer terror of S-class or SS-class marine beings? What were the odds of me driving the megalodon away to another region? After weighing his options, Yi Chuan posed a question that he believed the system might answer. 0. Yet, the system provided him with a singular response. Indeed, when I encountered that submarine, I was akin to a moth drawn to flame, courting my own demise. Encountering a megalodon, which could effortlessly obliterate that submarine, would surely lead to certain death. Yi Chuan shook his head in self-mockery. At that moment, the system's voice echoed once more. Hidden mission detected. Would the host like to accept? Yi Chuan was taken aback. Why did a hidden mission emerge at this juncture? It's always hidden missions. I have yet to come across a straightforward task. What could this hidden mission entail? Hidden mission. The host must either slay the megalodon or drive it out of the Jojo region to receive substantial rewards. Will you accept? The system replied. Yi Chuan found himself at a loss for words. A full 30 seconds passed before he darkly questioned. System, are you trying to lead me to my death? You just stated that the chances of driving the megalodon to another region were 0. And now you're asking me to either drive it away or kill it. This must be deliberate, right? The host may choose to accept or decline. The system reiterated. I accept. Yi Chuan declared with fierce determination. Detection shows the host has accepted the hidden mission. Please complete it as soon as possible. The system promptly responded. Rest assured I will. Yi Chuan muttered with heavy eyelids and a brusque tone. Fortunately, this hidden mission did not impose a time limit, only requiring completion in the shortest time possible. Thus, Yi Chuan decided not to linger on it any longer, opting instead to retire to bed for a good night's sleep. Due to the effects of alcohol, Yi Chuan awoke the next day just shy of 9 in the morning. Exiting his room, he gazed at the sun climbing high into the sky and stretched lazily, declaring, Sign in. Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 evolution points, a super tranquilizer gun, and a lucky blind box. Note, there is a chance of obtaining manufacturing blueprints, seeds, or fruits. A super tranquilizer gun. Yi Chuan's expression shifted. The super tranquilizer gun could induce slumber in an elephant for 10 days and nights, with an onset time of 7 minutes. The system immediately provided this information. If an elephant could sleep for 10 days and nights, what about a megalodon? Yi Chuan promptly inquired. 30 minutes. The system delivered an exact answer. Holy cow! Yi Chuan exclaimed in disbelief. For 10 days and nights, the elephant endured, while the megalodon only lasted a mere half hour. Such a disparity is indeed remarkable. However, this serves to highlight just how terrifying the megalodon truly is. Surely, this is a boon bestowed upon me by the system to combat the megalodon? Yi Chuan pressed his lips together and opened the blind box. Blind box opening. Congratulations, host. You have received a giant automatic fishing gun. A giant automatic fishing gun? Yi Chuan was taken aback and quickly glanced at it. The fishing gun measured an impressive 10 meters in length, with the barrel alone spanning 5 meters. At the front was a massive, retractable treble hook, each prong nearly 50 centimeters long. Once it pierced the colossal creature, activating the button would instantly ensnare the flesh, rendering any attempts to escape futile. Additionally, the tail of the gun featured a reinforced steel wire rope, 2,000 meters long, designed for reeling in fish. In the past, had I drawn such an item from a blind box, I would have scoffed at it. Yet this time, Yi Chuan was overjoyed. This contraption, in conjunction with a super tranquilizer, was the perfect tool for tackling the megalodon, coupled with the assistance of 4 mermaids. Relocating that megalodon to another region would be a mere trifle. Hey, brother, what did you have for breakfast this morning? At that moment, the gluttonous mermaid's voice echoed. Although I had indulged yesterday, I was already famished again. Let us have sashimi. Yi Chuan suggested without hesitation. What is sashimi? The gluttonous mermaid inquired with skepticism. Yi Chuan offered no explanation, promptly producing 30 pounds of tuna, slicing it into large pieces, and preparing a spicy oil dip along with a soy sauce-based dipping sauce. Holding a piece of fish, he encouraged them to dip it into one of the sauces and enjoy. What is the difference between this and eating raw fish? One mermaid questioned suspiciously. You don't think we'll be fooled into believing you harbor no ill intentions, do you? You dare speak such words without having tasted it? Yi Chuan countered. Do you think this little brother can deceive you country bumpkins? The gluttonous mermaid shot a fierce glare at the doubtful mermaid. Eat. With that, she eagerly picked up a piece, dipped it in the spicy oil, and began to chew. To her astonishment, her eyes sparkled as she exclaimed, Is this really raw fish? Though it is raw, I have treated it specially, Yi Chuan clarified. My heavens, what kind of fish is this? It is astonishingly delicious. I sincerely apologize for my earlier rudeness. This is indeed raw fish, yet it bears no trace of the usual raw fish flavor. Instead, it tastes rich and savory. Delicious. Scrumptious, I could eat it all day. The 3 mermaids were instantly exhilarated. Now, armed not only with the super tranquilizer, but also the giant automatic fishing gun, I felt prepared to confront the megalodon. Seizing the moment while the 4 mermaids feasted heartily, Yi Chuan broached the subject once more. When we 7 joined forces, 2 of us were slain, and 5 managed to escape. What makes you think you possess the ability to defeat that great shark? The gluttonous mermaid furrowed her brows and asked solemnly. At that moment, Yi Chuan promptly recounted the capabilities of the 2 items to the 4 mermaids, who were all astonished. These 2 items seem specifically designed for the purpose of slaying that great shark, do they not? Yi Chuan corrected them. Remember, our objective is not to kill, but to relocate it to another region. The gluttonous mermaid immediately pledged. If you can indeed lull that great shark into slumber for half an hour, we shall surely transfer it to another area. It has killed our kin, and we must avenge them. Yi Chuan's lips twitched slightly at this. If they were to discover that one of their own had met an untimely demise by his hand, he would undoubtedly face a gruesome fate. All right, we must first plunge into the sea. It's been too long since I last submerged, and my skin has become quite wrinkled, the gluttonous mermaid declared. But you must first tell me where that fisher is. Yichuan shouted urgently. The direction you are heading is correct, but you need to veer 20 degrees to the right. With that, the gluttonous mermaid dove headfirst into the water. Goodness, it appears that the location of the blueberry jam is adjacent to the foreign region. Yichuan realized and concluded that when the transparent barrier dissipated, blueberry jam would be the first to be seized. He immediately instructed the sea turtle to veer 20 degrees to the right and continue onward, contemplating where to place the colossal automatic fishing gun, for he would need the sea turtle to guide the great white shark later on. Suddenly, a tremendous noise erupted as a dolphin leapt onto the shore. Chapter 128. The cannibalistic fish missed. What in the world is happening? Seeing the dolphin's state, Yichuan gasped in shock. The once formidable creature of the ocean had lost a third of its tail, and a deep tooth mark was embedded in its belly, as if it had been gnawed upon. Had it not made the leap at the last moment, it would have surely perished. What could have inflicted such damage? Surely, it was not those four fiends, Yichuan murmured, hearing the dolphin's agonized whimpers. He immediately poured half of the S-grade freshwater he had converted the previous day onto the dolphin's tail and belly, feeding the other half to it. Previously, Yichuan had constructed a channel, which had since expanded considerably during the evolution of the island. It was still capable of accommodating the dolphin, and it contained seawater. Watching the dolphin gradually regain vitality, Yichuan carefully lifted it and temporarily housed it in the channel. After all, the current situation in the water remained uncertain. It was prudent to ascertain the circumstances first. Minutes later, seeing the dolphin steadily reviving, Yichuan felt a sense of relief and hurried to the shoreline, eager to investigate. When he heard the sound of splashing, the four mermaids had returned. My dolphin has sustained grave injuries. It seems to have been attacked by some creature. Yichuan spoke with a grave demeanor. Are you aware of the situation in the sea? It is inhabited by certain fish, grotesque enough to elicit thoughts of self-destruction, measuring a meter in length and exhibiting extreme aggression. The gluttonous mermaid replied. The krill have nearly vanished, consumed entirely by these hideous fish. It is simply revolting. Hideous fish? Giant clownfish? Yichuan inquired, his brow furrowed in skepticism. Isn't that a rather charming species, despite its ferocity? Fortunately, there were only a few thousand of them. After we managed to slay 70 or 80, the remaining fish hesitated to attack us. The gluttonous mermaid continued. They are also targeting your sea turtle. Yet this turtle's wounds heal almost instantaneously, posing no real threat to it. That is only natural, Yichuan chuckled upon hearing this. After all, sea turtles possess extraordinary healing abilities. Unless faced with irreversible harm, such injuries are mere trifles to them. However, if this situation continues, it becomes a source of distress for my dolphin companions as well. Yichuan stated solemnly, if we could drive them away, it would indeed be a reprieve for my turtle. With that, Yichuan promptly pressed down on the fishing net and called for the gluttonous mermaid to assist in hauling it in. The mermaid, intrigued by this method of fishing, eagerly lent her aid without needing further encouragement. Suddenly, the entire net was alive with writhing creatures. The system immediately reported the catch, 70 man-eating fish and 126 pounds of krill. Upon seeing these creatures, Yichuan was taken aback. The nearly meter-long fish bore a deep brown hue, its form almost entirely skeletal, with an unusually large head housing two sharp, elongated teeth on both the upper and lower jaws, each nearly 30 centimeters long. Yet, despite its shocking appearance, it possessed a pair of striking blue eyes, preventing it from being utterly repugnant. System, aren't piranhas freshwater fish? How can they exist in the sea? Yichuan queried, perplexed. Man-eating fish, the assassins of the deep. The system quickly clarified. In ordinary marine environments, piranhas measure only 15 centimeters, whereas in the ocean, they can reach lengths of up to 2 meters. It seems my dolphin was indeed injured by these man-eating fish, Yichuan remarked gravely. However, with thousands nearby, their combat prowess appears formidable. How do we drive them away? He then posed a critical question. Can these fish be consumed? The flesh along their backs is tender and delectable, the system promptly responded. In that case, let us catch them in nets and sell them. A few hauls should scare them off, Yichuan declared, immediately instructing the gluttonous mermaid on the use of a semi-automatic fishing device before proceeding to prepare the man-eating fish for sale. 1 plank for 3 man-eating fish. 1 stone for 3 man-eating fish. 1 metal piece for 3 man-eating fish. Yichuan intentionally set a low price, hoping to expedite the sale of the man-eating fish, for their appearance was so unappealing that it made him quite uneasy. In a public chat room, The conversation swiftly shifted to the ogre fish after someone spotted it. Who is the esteemed individual that introduced this ogre fish? It appears exceedingly grotesque. Is it truly edible? One participant, who had previously enjoyed watching documentaries about deep-sea creatures, recalled having seen an introduction to it. Its body is entirely bony, with only 2 strips of soft flesh flanking its spinal column. Even when consumed raw, it is said to be exceptionally delicious. But isn't the ogre fish only about 15 to 16 centimeters long? Why is this one so large? Can such an unsightly fish really possess a delightful flavor? I was ice fishing and was bitten on the arm by this fish. I am still bleeding profusely. Is there anyone who can assist me? I am willing to exchange all my rare resources for my life. Another person exclaimed, with teeth that large. A single bite would surely lead to tetanus. Do you believe you can survive? You might as well await your demise. At that moment, all S-grade freshwater resources had been allocated to the dolphins. Each one had initially intended to inquire about it, but considering that A-grade freshwater might not be particularly effective, he chose to remain silent. After all, a person as oblivious as the island lord likely possessed few valuable resources. However, Wang Sanrui had already made contact with this individual. What rare resources do you have? Are you certain you possess medicine that can stop the bleeding and prevent infection? The other party immediately retorted. Wang Sanrui remained silent, placing an S-grade coconut in the trading bar. This is a remarkable S-grade item. If you break it open and apply half to your wound while consuming the other half, I guarantee you will feel revitalized within 3 minutes. You actually have S-grade items? The other person asked incredulously. They were aware of the significance of S-grade resources. Having previously discovered a B-grade apple, the benefits derived from it were beyond description. The value of S-grade items was self-evident. This is something I obtained shortly after entering the oceanic world. I have been reluctant to use it, Wang Sanrui stated earnestly. So, do you believe that the rare resources in your possession are worthy of this S-grade coconut? Indeed, they are, the other party replied, promptly placing a manufacturing blueprint in the trading bar. This is a blueprint for an attack-type medium sailing ship, equipped with 3 heavy cannons capable of targeting enemies from 200 meters away. Compared to a standard medium sailing ship, it has been reinforced by at least double. I can assure you that this is the only attack-type medium sailing ship in the entire oceanic world. Chapter 129. Sour Soup Fish. The ogre fish comes ashore. Upon examining the blueprint, Wang Sanrui felt a surge of desire. He had already resolved to take action against that individual who frequently listed valuable items. And now he only needed a large ship to accommodate the subsidiary island lords. This attack-type sailing ship was simply perfect. Without hesitation, Wang Sanrui replied, "This manufacturing blueprint might just barely compare to my S-grade coconut, so let us proceed with the exchange." "Thank you, I am immensely grateful," the other party exclaimed, nearly brought to tears, and promptly completed the transaction with Wang Sanrui. Wang Sanrui was equally elated, feeling that fortune was indeed favoring him. The supplies I have amassed are more than sufficient to construct this attack-type medium-sized sailboat. All I need is for the temperature to rise and the ice to melt, and then I can take action against that rascal. The gluttonous mermaid has fished diligently, hauling in 5 nets by noon, capturing over 500 ogre fish. Initially, the first 3 nets yielded a considerable catch, but there were hardly any shrimp left, likely devoured by the ogre fish. However, in the last 2 nets, only about 30 ogre fish were caught, as they likely scattered upon witnessing their companions being captured or retreated to deeper waters. "Brother, it's mealtime again. What shall we eat?" the gluttonous mermaid inquired, patting her belly in anticipation. "Let us feast on these fish," each one promptly replied. "But these are merely bones. What is there to eat?" One mermaid immediately questioned. "Even if we gnaw on them, there is hardly any meat." Each one quickly distributed a small dagger to each of the 4. "Do you see the 2 soft strips of flesh on the back of these ogre fish? Simply carve out the meat from there, and shortly, I shall prepare a delectable feast for you." "Very well, let us begin." Upon hearing this, the gluttonous mermaid took the lead. Meanwhile, each one retrieved 6 lemons he had previously traded for, slicing them in half, finally putting them to good use. He heated oil in a pot, directly adding Sichuan peppercorns, star anise, and dried chili to release their fragrance. Then, he incorporated scallions, ginger, and garlic to create an aromatic base before pouring in a large pot of water, bringing it to a vigorous boil. Barely had the water begun to bubble when the gluttonous mermaid approached with a basin full of fish meat. "Brother, we have skinned nearly 50 of those ugly fish," producing a large basin of fish meat. "What comes next? Now, you shall watch," each one stated as he rinsed the fish meat and tossed it into the pot, simultaneously adding a generous spoonful of vinegar and 3 spoonfuls of salt. After 5 minutes of boiling, He squeezed in all 5 lemons and added half a spoonful of sugar to complete the dish. What Yichuan prepared was a simplified version of sour fish soup. The appropriate amount of sugar enhances the flavor, while the lemons are added last to preserve their tanginess and ensure a delightful taste. Brother, just the aroma of this dish is intoxicating. What is it? The gluttonous mermaid asked in astonishment. Sour fish soup. Though I lack seasonings like chicken essence and sauerkraut to marinate the fish, this is the best I can do, Yichuan replied, serving each of the 4 mermaids a bowl. Watching them relish their meal, he then divided the remaining fish into 8 portions, trading each one to them. How wonderful it is to enjoy a variety of meals every day, even in this frozen state. It warms my heart. Liang Hongying sent a heart emoji. Without you, I would surely be struggling immensely. Has the beautiful Liang also learned to be sentimental? Yichuan chuckled. I have always known how to be sentimental. Liang Hongying quickly replied. I am aware of who treats me well. With your words, I can rest easy. I shall strive to live on, as I eagerly await your return. Yichuan responded with a hearty laugh emoji. At this moment, Blueberry Jam responded with a message. Although there is no sauerkraut, I just tasted a bite. And it is simply delicious to the extreme. The fish is exceedingly fresh. Of course, just look at who prepared it. Yichuan exclaimed proudly, simultaneously offering Blueberry Jam a choice from the 6 options of ultra-warm cotton skirts. Is this a cotton skirt? Blueberry Jam asked in surprise. I initially intended to present it to you in person, but I estimate it will take me another 7 or 8 days to arrive since I have another matter to attend to on the way. Yichuan replied with a smiling emoji. So, I might as well give it to you now. Though it's a 6-choice selection. It includes my favorite Lolita-style cotton skirt in navy blue with a purple collar. It's simply stunning. Blueberry Jam responded excitedly. Brother, you are so wonderful to me. I adore you. Let's eat. Yichuan replied with a smile, before chatting briefly with a few others. He then glanced at the public chat room. That big shot is selling ogre fish. And I have some here too. Damn, they are absolutely insane, crashing against the ice layer. They actually broke through it, and that ice is nearly 30 centimeters thick. Now, the sea is teeming with ogre fish. In the same spot, one ogre fish colliding repeatedly can eventually break through the ice layer. Are they seeking fresh air? How infuriating that these ogre fish can walk on the ice with their fins. They're actually trying to come to my island. Does anyone have a weapon they could lend me? I beg you. Is this for real? Are they becoming amphibious? Terrifying events keep unfolding. Are we destined to become the prey of these ogre fish? As he read through the chat records, Yichuan furrowed his brow slightly. He had researched these ogre fish. They indeed possess 2 symmetrical fins on their bellies. But the fact that they can walk on ice seemed rather fantastical. With such terrifying offensive power, without a weapon in hand, one could truly become their meal. However, Yichuan was not overly concerned at the moment. After all, he had 4 formidable bodyguards at his disposal. He need not lift a finger to eliminate them. After satisfying their hunger, the 4 mermaids basked in the sun on a rock. Friday approached Yichuan, carrying several sunflower heads. Brother Chuan, the sunflower seeds have fully matured. Weren't you supposed to wait 5 more days? Yichuan asked, puzzled. Later, you gave me a little nutrient solution. After diluting it with water, I shared some with the sunflowers, and they matured early. Friday explained. Well done. Yichuan patted Friday on the shoulder. Could you help me extract the seeds? Brother Chuan, I still need to replant some of the seeds I've reserved, so I don't have time to help you. Friday replied, and without waiting for Yichuan's response, he walked away. Little brother, what delicious food do we have here? The foodie mermaid noticed the situation and led the 3 others over. Yichuan's expression shifted. Oh, the affordable labor has arrived. Chapter 130, Sunflower Seeds. Is the little lamb about to give birth? This food is known as sunflower seeds, and when prepared, it can be truly delightful. Yichuan remarked with a smile, but there is far too much for me to handle alone. I will require your assistance. In this world, one must never underestimate the allure of exquisite cuisine. The gluttonous mermaid laughed heartily, patted his chest, and declared, Brother, speak freely. What must we do? You will need to extract the sunflower seeds from within and place them into a large basin. Yichuan instructed directly. All right. The gluttonous mermaid nodded vigorously, calling upon the other 3 mermaids to commence the task. Yichuan then entered the greenhouse where the sunflowers were being cultivated and saw Friday pulling out the stalks of the sunflowers, loosening the soil for a new round of planting. Upon seeing Yichuan, Friday immediately exclaimed, Welcome, Brother Chuan, to inspect the work. How many do you plan to plant this time? I have reserved 50 sunflower seeds, and based on the survival rate, we can expect around 40 to thrive. Friday replied with utmost seriousness. However, this time, with my scientific methods of cultivation, the flavor will be enhanced. Very well, I shall not disturb you further. Ensure that you conduct thorough research. Yi Chuan said, patting Friday on the shoulder as he intended to leave. Yet Friday quickly interjected, Brother Chuan. The ewe is about to give birth, and analysis suggests that there is a high probability of complications. We must prepare in advance. Aren't you an expert in agriculture? Do you not have some knowledge of livestock as well? Yi Chuan inquired, astonished. When I was created, a small portion of code was integrated into various aspects. So I have a basic understanding of livestock, Friday answered. However, the system predicted that the ewe would not give birth for another 2 weeks. How is it that only 5 days have passed? Yi Chuan questioned, his skepticism evident. Since you have only a cursory understanding, could it be that your estimate was incorrect? Brother Chuan, everything I have done is based on data analysis. This situation is classified as a premature birth, partly due to the consumption of miraculous pasture. Friday promptly explained. This wondrous pasture possesses extraordinary properties, allowing the ewe's milk to be classified as grade A and significantly accelerating the growth rate of the lambs within. Moreover, there is a high likelihood that both lambs will be grade A livestock. Goodness, does that mean we have struck gold? Yi Chuan's expression shifted, but upon further contemplation, he immediately asked, what should we do about the possibility of complications during the ewe's birth? I do not know, Friday admitted helplessly. Brother Chuan, I can only surmise that she will give birth between midnight and 2 in the morning. As for how to handle it, I am at a loss. You truly possess only a superficial understanding. Yi Chuan remarked with a slight grimace and promptly sought out Lu Yiwei. The ewe is experiencing complications. Do you know how to proceed? How long has she been in labor? Lu Yiwei replied instantly. She has not yet begun to labor, but she is expected to do so around midnight. Thus, I must consult you in advance. Yi Chuan expressed with a resigned emoji. If the signs of impending labor are evident, and there are hanging objects in the genital area, along with vigorous movements while lying down, it indicates that the amniotic fluid has ruptured, though uterine contractions remain normal. In such a case, if the delivery has been prolonged, one must ensure adequate lubrication and gently insert the index and middle fingers to locate the lamb and carefully pull it out. Lu Yue replied directly. Or if the lamb's 2 legs or head have emerged, but subsequent delivery proves difficult, you simply need to pull it out. Are these the only 2 scenarios? Yi Chuan inquired with suspicion. The difficulties faced by ewes during labor actually encompass a variety of situations. I have described the simplest and most common ones, Lu Yue responded. I will be waiting for you tonight. If any other issues arise, just send me a message. All right, Yi Chuan promptly replied. Brother, everything is ready. What is the next step? At that moment, the gluttonous mermaid shouted loudly from outside. Yi Chuan rushed out, gathering all the sunflower seeds and washing them thoroughly with clean water twice. He then added a bottle of mineral water, sea salt, Sichuan pepper, star anise, and 2 halves of crushed garlic to the bowl, covering the seeds with water before carrying it into the room. They need to soak for several hours before they can be roasted. Exiting the room, he found several mermaids looking bewildered, so he explained. We will have to wait until tomorrow to eat. Good food is worth the wait. The gluttonous mermaid chuckled, saying, well, we'll just swim around for a bit. You focus on preparing dinner, and we'll return in the evening. Just make sure to drive away any nearby piranhas. Yi Chuan instructed immediately. No problem. With the gluttonous mermaid's loud shout, the sound of splashes began to echo from the turtle's rear. Am I becoming a babysitter? Yi Chuan muttered to himself, a bit exasperated. But for the sake of ensuring their willingness to venture into the foreign district, he endured. However, for tonight's dinner, Yi Chuan did not expend much effort, simply bringing out all the instant noodles, over 30 buckets in total. Tonight, it would be instant noodles. Yet, to enhance the flavor, he decided to cook the leftover 2 kilograms of beef brisket, creating a delightful beef noodle dish. How exquisite. Following that, he also retrieved 10 pounds of shrimp to make a delicious shrimp paste. It seemed that the palates of these 4 mermaids had been spoiled by his care, necessitating even better culinary delights. 2 hours later, the 4 mermaids returned, and Yi Chuan's beef noodles were ready. The gluttonous mermaid burst into laughter, exclaiming, as soon as we landed, we caught a whiff of the aroma. Brother, what delectable dish have you prepared this time? A simple beef noodle, paired with shrimp paste, is absolutely delicious. Yi Chuan remarked as he began serving the 4 mermaids. Brother, we have driven away all the piranhas around you. The gluttonous mermaid said with a smile. I think you can return your dolphin to the sea now. Really? Yi Chuan's expression shifted, and he promptly asked, how much longer until we reach the rift? At this pace, we shall arrive by noon tomorrow. The gluttonous mermaid pondered briefly before responding immediately. If the freezing continues, your movement as a turtle will be impeded, and I estimate we might not reach our destination until the early hours or noon the day after. Very well, let us eat. Yi Chuan nodded slightly. then portioned out 7 servings, distributing one to each of Lu Yi and her companions. Let's have a simple meal of beef noodles tonight. As he savored the noodles, he glanced at the messages in the public chat room, where one particular message caught his attention. Damn it, I finally fished out a supply crate today. And it contained a pair of beach shorts. TMD. Chapter 131. Class A Little Lamb. A sign of rising temperatures. Is this for real? Even the heavens seem intent on your demise. Wearing beach shorts in this biting cold? The temperature must have plummeted to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Are you not hurrying to don those shorts and take a stroll? I am at my wit's end. Who wants beach shorts? I will give them away for free. Haha, only a fool would want them. Have you not seen the weather? Upon reading this, Yichuan couldn't help but press his lips together. He quickly sent a message to the individual. Did you really get those beach shorts from a supply crate? Indeed, came the prompt reply. I am nearly at my wit's end. Even a pair of cotton shoes would have sufficed. What use are beach shorts? I will trade you 2 kilograms of krill for those beach shorts, Yichuan proposed, placing the krill into the trading slot. The other party's expression shifted, and they hurriedly accepted the trade, fearing Yichuan might change his mind. Yichuan stroked the beach shorts and asked earnestly, System, does obtaining beach shorts imply that temperatures are about to rise? There was no response. The system had crashed again. However, Yichuan sensed a possibility. Since a giant octopus had disrupted the beginner area's settings, the occurrence of extreme cold must surely foreshadow a subsequent spell of intense heat. He believed that day was not far off. Hey, do you have any more? This noodle is too delicious. I am still hungry. At that moment, the gluttonous mermaid knocked on the door, exclaiming loudly. Yichuan rushed out and divided the remaining beef noodles among the 4 mermaids, each of whom ate with great satisfaction. He then urged them to find a place to sleep while he settled down to watch an action movie. After all, the Yu would soon give birth. It would be better to wait than to sleep and wake up, as it was not particularly late. As time passed, Yichuan finished watching the first installment of Die Hard, and midway through the second, he suddenly heard a commotion from the sheep pen. His heart stirred, and he dashed to the pen. The Yu lay on the ground, panting heavily, and after a few seconds, she exerted herself, revealing faintly visible hooves at her private area. Yet, it seemed the Yu could only manage to give birth to 2 tiny hooves. No matter how hard she tried, it was a futile effort. Indeed, it was as described by Lu Yuwei. This was a classic case of dystocia. Yichuan whispered softly to himself, though feeling a hint of unease. He steeled his resolve and grasped the 2 hooves, pulling with all his might. The mother sheep, sensing his determination, cooperatively exerted her strength as well. With a sudden sound of splashing, a white lamb was pulled forth. Perhaps due to being born prematurely, it appeared exceedingly weak. And although the temperature within the pen was tolerable, it still posed a challenge for the newborn. Without hesitation, Yichuan dashed to fetch 2 stoves. And after the charcoal burned for a while, the temperature finally rose above freezing. Observing the mother sheep gently licking the liquid off her newborn, Yichuan contemplated briefly before rushing to retrieve 500 milliliters of grade of fresh water. The lamb seemed to instinctively recognize the benefits of the water and began to drink on its own. Just then, a sharp crack echoed, startling Yichuan. It was the mother sheep giving birth once more, 2 lambs in 1 litter. What a windfall! Quickly, Yichuan allocated some of the grade of fresh water to the newly born lamb. At that moment, the system chimed in. Grade A goat, mother sheep, has a chance to produce grade S fresh milk upon maturation. Astonished, Yichuan leaped with joy. Indeed, as predicted by Friday, both newborn lambs were of grade A. And just like ordinary mother sheep producing grade A milk, 2 grade A mothers could yield grade S milk, which would be 3 times as effective as grade S freshwater. What a fortune! Yichuan danced with glee. With the situation in the novice area becoming increasingly dire, he envisioned that once grade S milk entered mass production, both his and his friends' physiques would experience significant enhancement, equipping them to confront even mermaids with confidence. Just the thought filled him with delight. He promptly summoned the 3 little ones, instructing them to guard the 2 lambs, and only then did he feel at ease returning to his room. After all, lambs instinctively know how to drink milk, so he didn't need to worry too much. Everything could wait until morning. After reassuring Lu Yuwei, Yichuan took a quick hot shower before drifting into slumber. In his dream, he encountered Blueberry Jam, a stunningly beautiful and adorable girl, dancing around him. Brother, I want to perform a strip dance just for you. Just as Blueberry Jam prepared to undress, the system's voice suddenly cut in, rousing Yichuan from his reverie. System, you old devil, he muttered in frustration, wishing it could have waited a moment longer to remind him. Could he be so foolish as to forget to sign in? Truly absurd. Despite his irritation with the system, Yichuan still uttered, sign in. Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 evolution points. And a selection of summer attire. Choose one from 6 options. Summer clothes already? Yichuan exclaimed, astonished, and immediately inquired suspiciously system. How long until the temperature rises again? As expected, the system remained unresponsive. Yichuan did not dwell on the matter, temporarily setting aside the summer attire and awaiting the true rise in temperature. Upon exiting the room, he instinctively recoiled slightly, for even clad in his ultra-warm gear, a hint of chill lingered. It was then that he noticed the thickness of the ice had diminished to a point where the sea turtle could no longer swim, resorting instead to crawling upon the surface. Nevertheless, the turtle exhibited remarkable stability. He felt nary a jolt, making the experience smoother than traversing solid ground. "Oh, my dear turtle, you've worked hard," Yichuan murmured, his lips pressed together in acknowledgement. Crawling, after all, lacked the comfort of swimming in the sea, especially with such a considerable burden on its back, rendering the task quite arduous. Without hesitation, Yichuan fed the sea turtle 600 pounds of krill and a portion of fresh water. Observing the current situation, he estimated that they would reach the fissure by noon the following day. Sitting near the turtle's head and gazing at the vast expanse of ice before him, Yichuan found himself speaking aloud. "Currently, I possess 24,000 evolution points, which allows me to elevate both my turtle and dolphin by 1 level, thereby enhancing our chances of overcoming the megalodon." With a plan in mind, he promptly allocated 10,000 evolution points to the sea turtle, which began to grow gradually in size. Yichuan then accessed the turtle's information panel. Island Master. Yichuan type. Sea turtle level. 10-01-2000. Skills. Water bomb. Intermediate. Backflow technique. Beginner. Talents. Longevity. Rapid healing. Crawling. It seems there's an additional skill. Backflow technique? Chapter 132. Backflow technique. Upgraded crossbow. Yichuan inquired of the system, "What is the backflow technique?" The backflow technique generates a forward stream of water, impeding the advance of enemies. The basic version has a cross-sectional width of 5 meters, a water flow thickness of 2 meters, and a velocity of 10 ms, the system elucidated promptly. "Wow, such detailed information?" Yichuan exclaimed, astonished. In simpler terms, when the sea turtle engages in combat and employs the backflow technique, it creates an immense torrent aimed at repelling foes. Should they wish to continue their assault, they must surmount the formidable resistance of this current. This skill indeed appears advantageous, complementing the dolphin's sonic interference splendidly. Moreover, the evolution points gained per level have increased from 1,000 to 2,000, making ascension slightly more challenging, yet not overly concerning. Subsequently, Yichuan allocated 5,000 evolution points to the dolphin, which also began to grow slowly. At present, the dolphin's length had reached 3 meters. Its streamlined body remarkably elegant. Its injuries had fully healed, and while the trench did not permit exuberant swimming, the joy of its upgrade prompted it to leap joyfully from the water's surface. Yichuan smiled as he opened the information panel for the dolphin. Name, Dolphin Friendliness, 100 level, 10 evolution value, 6,000 skills, Sonic Interference, Intermediate. Absolute Impact, Intermediate, Talent, Deep Dive, 1,800 meters. Note: Absolute Impact is an attack using the head, with an intermediate force equivalent to a collision strength of 2,000 pounds. Sonic Interference can launch sound wave attacks within a 100-meter radius, disrupting the actions of any entity within that range. Although neither skills nor talents had increased, it was somewhat comforting that Sonic Interference, Absolute Impact, and Deep Dive had all been enhanced. The Dolphin's upgrade is complete. Congratulations, host. Your contracted beast has reached level 10 and has received an upgrade gift pack. Would you like to open it? The system's voice echoed. Yichuan's expression shifted, filled with anticipation as he replied, "Open it. Opening upgrade gift pack. Please wait. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 growth points, 10 grain dumplings, 6 A-grade citrus fruits, and 1 weapon enhancement card, applicable only to small weapons, capable of doubling the weapon's power." A weapon enhancement card? Yichuan's expression brightened. This was precisely what he needed at the moment. However, he was somewhat conflicted about which weapon to enhance. His primary weapons were a large blade and a rotating crossbow. The blade was currently serving him well, while the rotating crossbow could certainly benefit from improvement. Ultimately, Yichuan decided to upgrade the rotating crossbow and promptly applied the weapon enhancement card to it. In an instant, the rotating crossbow emanated a faint glow. Although it appeared unchanged, Yichuan could distinctly feel that its weight had increased by about 2 pounds, and each bolt felt noticeably heftier, adding a sense of gravitas. Aiming at a massive boulder 20 meters away, he pulled the trigger. With a series of thuds, 8 bolts pierced through the stone. penetrating over a meter in thickness and continuing for nearly 8 more meters before embedding themselves underground. The boulder now bore 8 1-centimeter diameter holes, which added an unexpected aesthetic appeal. Wow, impressive, Yichuan exclaimed to himself. Previously, the upgraded rotating crossbow could only embed its bolts into tree trunks without penetrating. But now it could pierce through stone, indicating that its power had increased by more than just a mere doubling. This was exhilarating. With this newfound power, Yichuan felt a glimmer of hope in defeating the great white shark. After all, even if it was a hidden task, there were 2 options provided. If it proved impossible to send the creature to the foreign district, then he would have to consider a different course of action. Hey, you're up early. What's for breakfast? The gluttonous mermaid appeared by Yichuan's side, grinning mischievously. Let us have barbecue. Yichuan replied immediately. What is barbecue? The mermaid inquired, leaning in curiously. Are you foolish? Barbecue, of course, involves both grilling and roasting. Need I ask? The gluttonous mermaid shot a piercing glare at the other, declaring, from now on, refrain from asking questions and merely indulge in the feast. Otherwise, you shall appear quite dim-witted. The mermaid merely pouted, ultimately refraining from retort. After having vanquished the colossal octopus, there remained a dozen pieces of its flesh in the cold storage, which Yichuan promptly placed upon the grill. He also retrieved some steamed buns to toast until the entire island was enveloped in an enticing aroma. Only then did he distribute 2 large pieces of octopus and 2 buns to each of them. The 3 mermaids were utterly unconcerned about the heat, shoving the food into their mouths without hesitation, even letting out yelps from the scalding bites, yet continuing to chew. The gluttonous mermaid could only shake her head in resignation, lamenting, how did I end up with such teammates? It's utterly embarrassing. With that, she turned away, feigning sophistication while indulging in her meal. Subsequently, Yichuan portioned the remaining octopus and traded it with Zhao Feiyu and others, saying, let us have some barbecue for breakfast. I'm too lazy to prepare anything else. Who else on this island could enjoy barbecue this early in the morning? Lu Shui sent an awkward emoji, confessing, boss, I feel embarrassed to mention this, but I realize that I need to loosen my belt a notch to fasten it after my morning routine. So, you're saying you've gained weight? Yichuan retorted. Among all these novice island owners, who else could have managed to gain weight during the arduous first 2 months? It can only be said that your rations are exceptional, boss. Lu Shui replied, sending a boastful emoji, expressing his immense happiness. Unbeknownst to his family, who might be worrying excessively, he reveled in his newfound weight. Continue to flaunt it. Yichuan sent a facepalm emoji before turning to the public chat room to have breakfast. The ice layer had thickened to over 40 centimeters, with temperatures hovering around -23 degrees. It remained uncertain if the cold would persist. I felt that my winter coat and stove were no longer sufficient to withstand the harsh chill. This morning, I attempted to break through the ice layer. My long spear could no longer penetrate it. After half an hour of effort, I managed to chip away only 20 centimeters. The previous method of carving holes to attract fish to leap out was likely futile now. Alas, I find myself at a loss, if no one comes to my aid. I may meet my demise. Death would be preferable to enduring this torturous novice stage, which even the most seasoned island owners would find intolerable. I have breached the ice layer. Can you guess what I discovered? Chapter 133, Level 10 Evolution, Giant Lobster. Enough. Speak plainly, or be gone. What's with the dilly-dallying? A 4-legged snake. A snake is a snake. How could it possess 4 legs? Have you lost your mind this early in the day? Enough. I'm not deceiving you. I have indeed captured this 4-legged snake, and I am now placing it in the trading interface for you to see. Look at you, deceiver. Yichuan promptly shifted the interface to the trading section. After refreshing it twice, he indeed discovered the 4-legged serpent, measuring over 2 meters in length. Its form resembling that of a snake yet adorned with 4 limbs, each equipped with webbed toes, reminiscent of the archetype of a snake embellished unnecessarily. System. What creature is this? Yichuan inquired with a hint of skepticism. It is a sea python, a lizard of the ocean, highly venomous and inedible, the system promptly elucidated. Could it be that the disappearance of the man-eating fish has been supplanted by such a sea python? Yichuan mused quietly. What does this signify? With marine life emerging in waves? He contemplated this briefly without delving deeper. The broader trajectory of the marine world was beyond his influence. His role was merely to foresee danger and prepare accordingly, which sufficed. Island upgrade complete. Congratulations, host. Your island has ascended to level 10. And you have received an upgrade gift package. Would you like to open it? Having finished his breakfast, just stepped out of his room. The system's voice arrived belatedly. I hope it yields something splendid. Yichuan murmured, promptly declaring, open it. Opening. Congratulations, host. You have acquired 2,000 growth points. 6 A-grade citrus fruits, 9 small nutrient solutions, and 1 superlocator. Another superlocator had emerged, aside from the one designated for blueberry jam. He now possessed 3 more. Once reunited with the blueberry jam, he would see who else might be willing to join him. Gazing ahead, following a new round of expansion, the forest had increased by several hundred square meters. It appeared lush and verdant, approximately 3,000 square meters in total, with the central trees soaring over 30 meters high, ranking as the second tallest cluster on the island, aside from a small hill that had already reached over 40 meters. I wonder if the additional 500 square meters has introduced some larger creatures into the woods, each one mused softly, turning to ascend the small hill. This hill now measured around 100 meters in length and stood approximately 45 to 56 meters tall, its height astonishingly doubling that of the hill at level 9, a remarkable growth rate. On one side, the spring had expanded at least twofold, a robust stream, akin to the thickness of an adult's arm, gushing forth, forming a small creek that subsequently flowed into the sea. Though Yichuan perceived the spring as somewhat modest, the sea surface was frozen, rendering the automatic water pump temporarily inoperative, and the previously stored freshwater was nearly depleted. Given the dolphin's presence, the water in the canal was also currently unusable. After some contemplation, Yichuan connected the pipeline that had previously linked to the canal to this location, directing the mountain spring water into the large barrel that had been used for the converted tap water. This method eliminated the need for seawater conversion, utilizing solely spring water, while the tap water barrel also possessed storage capabilities, truly a twofold advantage. He believed that once the island underwent another evolution, the seawater to tap water converter could be entirely abandoned in favor of using only spring water. How delightful! Admiring the fruits of his labor, Yichuan could not help but express his heartfelt sentiments. Brother, what shall we have for lunch? At that moment, the gluttonous mermaid approached him once more. Hadn't we just finished breakfast less than an hour ago? How can you already be thinking of lunch? Yichuan was taken aback. Who could resist such delectable cuisine? You have completely enchanted me. The gluttonous mermaid chuckled, adding, besides, we must indulge before the battle with the great white shark tomorrow. We ought to enjoy a few more delightful meals. Indeed. Yichuan nodded. Let us prepare snake stew. We still have some of that netted python, along with some fatty pork and the lychee mushrooms that Lu Yi traded a few days ago. It will be absolutely delicious. Anything will suffice. You make everything taste divine. The gluttonous mermaid replied cheerfully. And what about those sunflower seeds? Can we eat those too? The seeds aren't ready yet, but I assure you, you will have your share before our battle tomorrow, Yichuan declared, then promptly commanded, you 4, hurry ahead for a few kilometers and break open a large ice layer. I need to return the dolphin to the sea. Of course. The gluttonous mermaid patted her chest and rallied the 3 mermaids basking in the sun to move forward. Meanwhile, Yichuan poured the sunflower seeds, water, and spices into a large pot, commencing the cooking process. He opted for a method that infuses the seeds with flavor, albeit time-consuming, requiring 20 minutes of boiling, 20 minutes of steaming, and a gentle roast to achieve the perfect taste. During this interval, Yichuan sliced half a pound of fatty meat and 20 pounds of snake meat, cleaned the lychee mushrooms, and prepared all the ingredients, temporarily setting them aside in his room. This time, the snake stew would be enhanced with scallions, ginger, garlic, and spices, elevating its flavor to new heights. Once the preparations were complete, a sea turtle arrived at the enormous ice hole excavated by the 4 mermaids. Remarkably, in just half an hour, they had created a tunnel over 20 meters long and several meters wide. Clearly, they were born for such labor. Yichuan swiftly carried the dolphin back to the water, and upon entering the sea, the dolphin joyfully squealed before swiftly swimming into the depths. After such a long time without frolicking, it was only fitting to revel in the moment. Such a vast ice hole could yield a bounty. Perhaps they would catch something remarkable. As the sea turtle approached the ice hole, Yichuan mused to himself and hurried to Turtle Island. Just as the turtle crossed the threshold, he pressed a button. In an instant, a massive fishing net shot into the ice hole, and Yichuan called out to the gluttonous mermaid to pull it swiftly. Let us hope it's not those 4-legged reptiles. Yichuan inhaled deeply, muttering under his breath. Minutes later, the net was drawn up, revealing an array of dark brown creatures, each measuring over 20 centimeters in length, reminiscent of aliens. The system promptly provided the details: 658 lobsters, 32 king crabs, and 11 sea pythons. Wow, we have our dinner sorted. Let us feast upon the ocean's delicacies. Yichuan felt a stir within him, yet he instructed, first, you must help me discard these 11 sea pythons. These creatures are venomous and inedible. Understood. Upon hearing the mention of delicacies, the four companions instantly brimmed with enthusiasm. However, Yi Chuan's brow furrowed as he discerned something glimmering with a metallic sheen amidst the lobsters. Could it be a shell? Chapter 134. The Torpedo, the Final Supper. Measuring 2 meters in length and 24 centimeters in diameter, it appeared indistinguishable from an artillery shell. Yi Chuan promptly approached, intending to relocate the shell, only to find it surprisingly heavy, estimating it to weigh over 200 pounds. With utmost caution, he placed it in a safe spot before inquiring, "System, what sort of shell is this?" "A trigger-type torpedo, possessing immense power," the system promptly replied. Enlightenment dawned upon Yi Chuan. This torpedo had likely been left behind by a submarine in its confrontation with a colossal shark. For reasons unknown, it had not detonated and had instead found its way into his possession. Can this torpedo still be utilized? Yi Chuan questioned, intrigued. Indeed, it requires merely 50 kilograms of triggering force to unleash an explosion. The resulting blast would affect an area spanning 10 nautical miles. The system elucidated. Goodness, is it truly that formidable? Yi Chuan exclaimed in astonishment. Is this akin to a compressed grenade, a compact torpedo? Regardless, in a moment of dire need, deploying this torpedo would undoubtedly send the giant shark to its demise. Subsequently, Yi Chuan proceeded to display the lobsters. This time, he opted not to trade resources, but rather to barter private possessions, determining the quantity of lobsters based on the value of these items. This move left many island lords astounded. Heavens, an island lord is actually selling lobsters. These lobsters appear to weigh at least 2 pounds each. Which magnate has carved through the ice to procure them? Lobsters typically dwell on the ocean floor. Could it be that the ice caused oxygen depletion, prompting them to surface? In a time of desperation, this scoundrel dares to exploit us for every last drop of blood. He is truly a modern-day miser. Let us unite to boycott him. No one should engage in transactions with him. At this juncture, abstaining from trade equated to death. While one might refuse to trade, one cannot prevent others from doing so. Is it not selfish to act in such a manner? Is this the inherent servility within you? Can you truly perish from a single missed meal? How absurd, keyboard warriors. Despite numerous calls urging others to refrain from trading, many still reached out to Yi Chuan privately, prompting a smile to grace his lips. Indeed, many island lords possess a wealth of hidden treasures, even including super locators. After a brief conversation, Yi Chuan exited the room for fresh air, retrieving some sunflower seeds to begin his water management process. He then ventured to check on the 2 young lambs. Now, the little lamb has learned to stand, one of them warming itself by the hearth while another kneels beside its mother, nursing. Each time it feeds, it suddenly jumps, seemingly startled by the milk. Seeing the little lambs thriving, Yi Chuan decided to nourish the adult sheep with some grade of fresh water. At this stage, the lambs are unable to drink water on their own and must rely on the benefits derived from the adult sheep's consumption. Although lambs generally begin to graze after a week, in this wondrous marine world, they might start grazing in just 3 days. By that time, the condition of the lambs will be entirely stable. Leaving the sheep pen, Yi Chuan promptly made his way to the chicken coop. A dozen chicks had already grown considerably since their hatching, displaying lively energy that nearly overflowed the coop. Fortuitously, among the rare items he had traded for was a blueprint for an expanded chicken coop, which he wasted no time in utilizing to enlarge it by 1/3. Noticing that there was still some time before noon, Yi Chuan took a glance at the various greenhouses. The previous harvest of spinach and lettuce had been stored in the system, while the new sprouts were just beginning to emerge, requiring some time to grow. Since pollinating the coconut flowers last Friday, the blossoms had withered, yielding coconuts now the size of fists, densely clustered but still needing considerable time to mature. As for the apricot, peach, and apple trees, they had already borne small fruits. Although their pollination occurred later than that of the coconuts, they appeared to be ripening sooner. He believed that it would not be long before he could savor the fruits of his own labor. "Hey, brother, it's getting late. Hurry up and cook," called the gluttonous mermaid, eagerly approaching. "No need to rush. I'll get right to it." With about an hour remaining until noon, Yi Chuan beckoned and immediately began frying the fatty pork in the pan. Once the lard had rendered, he added spices along with scallions and ginger, then tossed in the snake meat, sautéing it briefly before adding water to simmer. Anticipation for the delicious lunch filled the air. The gluttonous mermaid rubbed her hands together, choosing to remain silent and simply watch. Yi Chuan said nothing, patiently waiting for over 40 minutes. Once the snake meat was nearly ready, he added salt and lychee mushrooms, allowing it to simmer for another 20 minutes before serving. After dishing out generous bowls for the mermaids, Yi Chuan then traded a bowl to each of the 7 companions. "Wow, this is absolutely divine. I almost bit my own tongue," one mermaid exclaimed. Boss, what kind of meat is this? It's incredibly delicious. It's a snake stew, Yichuan explained with a smile. With perfect timing and the flavor of lychee mushrooms, it creates the most exquisite broth. I wish I could always live by your side. This world would be so much better. The mermaid couldn't help but exclaim. Come on, stop getting sentimental. Can't you just enjoy the deliciousness? The gluttonous mermaid shot a fierce glare at her companion, reminding her, let us not forget, we have a mission tomorrow at noon. Indeed, we must honor our leader who prepares such delectable meals for us. The mermaid immediately affirmed, garnering the agreement of the others. For dinner, Yichuan prepared garlic lobster, barbecued lobster, and steamed lobster, each dish comprising dozens of lobsters. Considering the impending battle, he brought out the unfinished drunken donkey liquor from the previous gathering, which elicited exuberant cheers from the four mermaids. Thus, the evening was filled with revelry and merriment. When Yichuan awoke the next day, he was astonished to find it well past 9 o'clock. The four mermaids, having indulged, remained sprawled outside. Remarkably, they demonstrated considerable resilience against the cold, as they snored loudly in weather below -20 degrees, truly deserving of their status as A-grade marine beings. Time to check in. Yichuan stretched lazily and announced. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host. You have gained 1,000 evolution points, 200 kilograms of fertile black soil, and a mysterious pill. The system's voice chimed in as expected. Another mysterious pill? The last one had granted him proficiency in a minor language. He pondered what delightful surprise awaited him this time. Chapter 135, sated and ready for action. Without hesitation, Yichuan consumed the pill. This time, he felt a warmth radiating through his body, a sensation he had not experienced previously. After 5 minutes, the system's voice echoed again. Congratulations, host. Agility increased by 50. To his surprise, it was an enhancement of agility. Yichuan's expression shifted with excitement. Agility, distinct from speed, pertains to one's quickness of reaction, a critical factor in combat against foes. The prospect of gaining this advantageous boost just before an encounter with the great white shark was exhilarating. Yichuan chuckled to himself. Noticing the time, he surmised that Zhao Feiyu and the others had yet to eat, so he swiftly prepared a topping with wild boar meat, spinach, eggs, and leftover lychee mushrooms. Then cooked some noodles. Everyone rise. It's already past 9. We need to finish our meal and get moving. Yichuan called to the slumbering, gluttonous mermaids as the noodles neared completion. Wow, I can't believe I slept so long. It was quite refreshing. The gluttonous mermaid exclaimed, stretching as she stood. I just caught a whiff of something aromatic and thought I was dreaming. It turns out you've cooked. In this freezing weather, a bowl of noodles is just what we need, especially with battle looming in a couple of hours. Yichuan said earnestly, we cannot afford to falter then. Boss, the water is frigid. If you join us in the sea for the battle, it may not be feasible, one of the mermaids remarked solemnly. Should we lure it closer to the island? That won't be necessary. Yichuan quickly replied. Moreover, I have no intention of letting my turtle approach the great white shark. I possess a boat that can take us 100 nautical miles away. Are you certain? The gluttonous mermaid remarked solemnly. This turtle possesses some degree of combat prowess. With its assistance, I believe our chances of success will significantly increase. I share your sentiment. Yichuan replied. But the key concern is the potential irreversible damage that monstrous shark could inflict upon my turtle should it go berserk. Even a single collision might be unbearable, wouldn't it? The colossal shark, in terms of both weight and length, is incomparable to your turtle. We are indeed no match for that great beast. However, when it comes to dealing with your turtle, it can only hope to fall short. The gluttonous mermaid analyzed, thus. The issue is not substantial. System, what are your thoughts? Yichuan directly inquired of the system. In critical moments, the turtle can retract its head and limbs. Its defense is beyond the capabilities of the great white shark to breach. The system promptly provided its analysis. This assurance allowed Yichuan to relax, abandoning his original plan. He began serving noodles to several mermaids while simultaneously trading a portion to Zhao Feiyu and the other 7. I have significant matters to attend to at noon and 1 tea of time to cook. Please eat early. Brother, what significant matter do you have? Is it dangerous? Xiao Feilong asked with concern. I am going to slay a great white shark. Yichuan replied nonchalantly. Goodness, why provoke such a creature? It's terrifying. Xiao Feilong exclaimed in shock. Our family has records of a great white shark annihilating one of our fleets. Ultimately, it took the simultaneous launch of a dozen torpedoes to bring it down. We are merely novice island masters. Even the regular great white shark proves challenging, let alone a megalodon. Therefore, let us enjoy our meal. Yichuan concluded, refraining from further response. At present, he had accumulated 13,000 evolution points, just enough to elevate all three small creatures by one level. After all, they would be confronting the ferocious great white shark. Perhaps this elevation could secure a decisive victory. Instantly, Yichuan allocated the points to each of the three small creatures, resulting in slight changes in their physiques. He then opened their information panels. Name, Albatross level, 8, growth phase, evolution points, 04500 skills, diving talents, can grasp objects weighing up to 120 kilograms, talents, diving, fishing, flying, long distance navigation. The weight it can grasp has increased by 30 kilograms. Now, an albatross can lift a weight equivalent to a torpedo. If I can successfully lure the megalodon to the surface, the albatross can strike it with the torpedo, bringing everything to a conclusion, wouldn't it? Of course. All my previous conjectures were predicated on uncertainty regarding the true strength of the megalodon. Whether it can be accomplished remains to be seen in practice. Albatross upgrade complete. Congratulations. Your pet has reached level 8 and received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? Albatross upgrade complete. Congratulations. Your pet has reached level 8 and received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? Yichuan was deep in thought when the system's voice resonated thrice, prompting him to exclaim, "Activate everything." Congratulations, host. You have acquired 1,000 growth points, 10 wooden boards, 9 metal sheets, and 2 solar heating blankets. Congratulations, host. You have acquired 1,000 growth points, 5 plastics, for glasses, and a choice of 1 women's thermal coat. Congratulations, host. You have acquired 1,000 growth points, 7 metal sheets, 3 stones, and 4 pounds of cornmeal. The previous solar heating blanket had been given to Blueberry Jam, and now 2 more had come, along with a women's thermal coat, which was particularly irksome. Without hesitation, Yichuan distributed the solar heating blankets to Lu Yi and Lu Yiwei, while the women's thermal coat went to Liang Hongying. He refrained from further conversation with the trio and headed directly to the turtle's location. 4 mermaids stood there, preparing their harpoons, when the gluttonous mermaid solemnly announced, "We have arrived at our destination and detected the position of the great white shark, approximately 3,000 meters below the surface. I possess a giant automatic fishing gun capable of tracking the target, but its range is limited to 2,000 meters. You must lure it into waters above that depth," Yichuan commanded, handing the gluttonous mermaid a super tranquilizer gun. "This is a tranquilizer gun. You must ensure it strikes the great white shark. We only need to endure until it falls into slumber, and victory shall be ours." "Understood," replied the gluttonous mermaid, and the 4 of them leapt into the massive ice hole that had been previously carved out. Yichuan promptly secured the giant automatic fishing gun to the turtle's shell and donned his swimsuit, readying the device. Approximately 5 minutes later, a massive image appeared on the screen, along with 2 smaller figures, presumably the great white shark pursuing the 2 mermaids. Yichuan immediately set the shooting target and pressed the button. With a soft sound, the 5-meter-long fishing gun shot into the sea, striking the target 20 seconds later. Yichuan quickly pressed a button to activate the barbs on the fishing gun. The reinforced steel cable tightened instantly, pulling even the near 1,000-ton turtle towards the ice hole. Chapter 136. The Battle Against the Great White Shark, a Dire Situation. Goodness, how powerful is this great white shark to be able to pull me? A turtle weighing nearly 1,000 tons. Yichuan murmured in disbelief, struggling to accept this reality. Truly, it was a creature that had existed since prehistoric times. Remarkably resilient. Just then, the gluttonous mermaid leapt from the water, her expression not quite favorable. "Hey, do you have any more tranquilizer darts?" "None left." "Was the dosage insufficient?" Yichuan inquired skeptically. "Apologies, just as I was about to strike the great shark, your fishing gun fired and hit its tail," the gluttonous mermaid admitted awkwardly. "It went berserk and dashed into the deep sea. Its massive tail struck me, and the tranquilizer darts were depleted." "Unbelievable." Yichuan stood in stunned silence, gazing at the gluttonous mermaid, utterly at a loss for words. The key to his victory over the colossal great white shark lay in the anesthetic needle. Yet this fool had managed to ruin it, proving to be less reliable than the likes of Wang Kai. "System, could you possibly grant me another anesthetic needle?" Yichuan uttered, holding his breath. "Otherwise, we may indeed find ourselves unable to contend with that beast." The system remained silent, indicating no hope. Yichuan turned to the mermaid, saying, "Brother, it seems we must rely on ourselves. It is either its demise or our own. Let us fight. Rest assured, even for the sake of my 2 comrades, I shall ensure it pays for its life." The greedy mermaid snorted dismissively before diving back into the depths of the water. "Try to lead it towards the surface," Yichuan shouted urgently. Crack! In that instant, a thunderous noise erupted as the massive ice layer shattered. and the sea turtle was forcefully dragged beneath the waves by the great white shark. However, in the water, the turtle exhibited far greater agility than it had on the ice, effortlessly maneuvering its limbs to stabilize itself, rendering the shark's attempts to pull it away futile. Yichuan finally felt a sense of relief as he handed the torpedo to Wang Kai, instructing it to remain vigilant of its position and to drop the torpedo when necessary. He then donned his diving suit and plunged into the ocean. The sharkskin material of the diving suit shielded him from the biting cold of the sub-zero waters, allowing him to feel no chill. Enhanced agility enabled him to glide through the water as effortlessly as a fish, swiftly propelling himself downwards along the reinforced steel cable. In less than 3 minutes, Yichuan spotted the massive great white shark. Merely imagining its size had been unfathomable, but witnessing it firsthand caused him to gasp in shock. It was estimated to be around 24 to 25 meters long, its gaping maw capable of crushing a submarine, with teeth that were not merely the size of an adult's hand, but rather thrice that size. The 4 mermaids moved through the water with the speed of world-class sprinters. Despite the shark's ferocity, they adeptly engaged it in combat. However, their harpoons appeared utterly ineffective against the shark's formidable defenses. The gluttonous mermaid seized an opportunity to thrust her harpoon fiercely into the shark's flesh, only to find that it failed to penetrate its skin and was instead sent tumbling through the water. The great white shark finally seized its chance, opening its enormous jaws to deliver a devastating bite towards the gluttonous mermaid, a strike that would undoubtedly cleave her in two if successful. Yichuan swiftly drew his rotating crossbow and aimed it at the great white shark, pulling the trigger. 8 bolts shot forth in an instant, leaving a trail of fine bubbles in their wake, all striking the shark's body but only penetrating 3 centimeters into its skin, likely not even breaching the tough exterior. Nevertheless, this provoked the shark's fury, causing it to pivot and charge towards Yichuan. He turned and fled, calling upon the dolphins for assistance. After more than a minute, Yichuan arrived beneath the sea turtle. The megalodon pursued closely, a mere 30 meters separating it from Yichuan. The sea turtle and dolphin had long since taken their positions, unleashing the reverse flow technique and sonic interference simultaneously, launching a fierce assault on the megalodon. The shark's speed evidently diminished, especially at the moment the sonic wave struck. Its massive body quivered violently, seemingly ill-equipped to withstand such an attack. With a resounding crash, a colossal water bomb hurtled toward the megalodon without the need for Yichuan's command. Although it inflicted minimal harm, it significantly disrupted the shark's movements. Meanwhile, wielding a large blade, Yichuan harnessed the momentum from the reverse flow technique and aimed a powerful strike at the megalodon's head. Just as the shark began to recover from the dolphin's interference, it spotted the diminutive Yichuan, akin to a sardine, charging toward it, dismissing him entirely, and opened its cavernous jaws wide. To Yichuan's astonishment, even underwater, he could not suppress his exclamation. Who would have anticipated that the megalodon would regain its composure so swiftly? His initial intent to strike its head faltered as the shark's mouth opened, causing his blade to collide forcefully between its 2 massive teeth. Blood gushed forth, and the megalodon thrashed violently. Yichuan, sensing the urgency, withdrew his blade just before the shark's jaws snapped shut. The megalodon, now visibly enraged, disregarded the dolphins and turtles as they once again employed the reverse flow technique, charging relentlessly at Yichuan, intent on obliterating him. Meanwhile, 4 mermaids regrouped and lunged once more at the megalodon. Although their harpoons could not breach its defenses, they struck at the shark's vulnerable point, the wound on its tail, which was slowly oozing blood. The harpoons easily penetrated this injury, causing the megalodon to writhe in pain and twist sharply to bite at the mermaids. Yichuan surged above the water's surface, reaching the immense automated fishing gun, and pressed the button to retrieve it. The engine whirred to life, drawing the reinforced steel wire. The megalodon had seized one of the mermaids by the tail, its powerful jaws tearing her asunder. As the shark lunged once more, the steel wire yanked it upward toward the surface, inciting further fury. It thrashed repeatedly, attempting to dislodge the fishing gun. In alignment with the shark's desires, Yichuan released the barbed hook, allowing the megalodon to escape the fishing gun's grasp. However, Yichuan swiftly pressed the button again, repositioning the gun and launching it back into the sea. Though he had previously struck the shark's tail, it had failed to hinder its movements. Yichuan's strategy was to target the megalodon's abdomen or head, thus significantly limiting its capabilities. Simultaneously, the dolphin charged toward the megalodon, once more employing sonic interference to distract the beast and facilitate the fishing gun's attack. Despite a notable reduction in speed, the megalodon, in its struggle, collided with the dolphin, propelling it several dozen meters away. Amidst the chaos, The megalodon regained its momentum, darting like lightning towards the dolphin, which was perilously flipped onto its back. Chapter 137. A narrow victory, double rewards. This scoundrel was determined to retaliate. The gluttonous mermaid gritted her teeth, arriving with a grand entourage of 6. They now found themselves reduced to merely 2. In an instant, 3 mermaids surged towards the megalodon. As the dolphin recovered, it noticed the megalodon was now a mere 20 meters away, its gaping maw poised to devour it whole. Before this colossal prehistoric creature, even the dolphin, capable of evolution, felt a pang of trepidation, momentarily at a loss for what to do. However, as the distance between them shrank to less than 10 meters, the megalodon suddenly sensed something amiss and swiftly veered away. It had encountered this sound before, after having its tail pierced. It was unwilling to be dominated by that entity again. Seeing this, the dolphin rallied its resolve, unleashing a sonic disruption while launching itself headfirst into the megalodon's belly. Coupled with the distraction provided by the 3 mermaids, the megalodon, overwhelmed, lashed out with its massive, albeit injured, tail. In that fleeting moment of distraction, the spear gun arrived just a tad too late. The megalodon instinctively evaded to one side, yet the spear embedded deeply into its flank, the barbs opening wide. Only one barb secured itself within its flesh, while the other 2 remained exposed, and amidst the creature's fierce thrashing, it appeared ready to break free. Unaware of this development, Yichuan re-entered the water, gasping at the scene before him, utterly astonished that the shot had strayed so far from its intended trajectory. Moreover, given the circumstances, it seemed the beast could escape at any moment. It appeared a second attempt was necessary, he mused, and he intended to swim back to shore, only to discover that the megalodon had fixated on him once more, abandoning the dolphin and mermaids to swim directly towards him. Yichuan furrowed his brow and summoned his utmost speed, but the megalodon was swifter still, arriving before him in mere seconds, its gaping maw ready to strike. Holding his breath, Yichuan, at the very instant the megalodon lunged, propelled himself off its nose, deftly evading the attack with remarkable agility, then swiftly veering to the side. Although the megalodon's size hampered its agility compared to Yichuan, it quickly adjusted its angle and resumed its pursuit. Yichuan seized the dolphin's tail fin, allowing it to carry him away, and they continued on for nearly 7 or 8 nautical miles before finally halting. Meanwhile, the megalodon, in its desperate bid to annihilate Yichuan, had forcefully torn apart the massive automatic fishing gun, leaving a trail of blood in the water. To think it could endure such an ordeal. Yichuan murmured in disbelief, his entire body pressed against the icy surface of the water. He drew forth his rotating crossbow and unleashed 8 arrows, striking the massive shark upon its head. The great white shark, having roamed the oceans for over 40 years, was now experiencing its first taste of utter devastation, particularly from the grievous wound on its side that nearly drove it to madness. Those 8 arrows became the final straw that broke its back. Then, the shark went berserk. It opened its cavernous maw and lunged violently towards Yichuan. Having held his breath, he swiftly evaded as the shark was about to collide with him, grasping the dolphin's tail fin and propelling himself away from the scene. With a resounding crack, the thick ice, measuring over 40 centimeters, shattered in an instant, and a third of the shark's body erupted from the surface of the sea, just as a slender object plummeted from above, striking it on the head. Boom! In the next heartbeat, the explosion reverberated across nearly 100 miles of ocean, shattering the ice within a 5 to 6 kilometer radius. A colossal wave surged skyward, and the shark was forcefully hurled back into the depths, plummeting rapidly toward the seabed. Beneath the surface, the terrifying shockwave radiated outward in all directions. Even though Yichuan had been carried 5 nautical miles away, he still felt the violent tremor. Fortunately, both he and the dolphin had managed to evade the catastrophe. Otherwise, they would have surely faced grave injuries. 3 mermaids had already swum over and surfaced, the gluttonous mermaid offering a wry smile. "I truly apologize. I was of no assistance and instead lost a brother." "We all did our best," Yichuan replied, shaking his head. In such circumstances, even the slightest aid was invaluable. Before he could finish speaking, the dolphin suddenly issued a warning. Yichuan furrowed his brow and promptly returned to the water, only to find the great white shark ascending from the depths. At that moment, the shark was nearly unrecognizable. Its skin almost vanished, one eye blinded, its body drenched in blood, and its teeth bared like a skull. "How can you still be alive after all this? You are truly the battle shark among great whites," Yichuan thought, utterly drained of sarcasm, as he turned to activate his giant automatic fishing gun once more. Just then, a school of sharks appeared in the distance, drawn to the blood and beginning to tear at the flesh of the great white. Despite the relentless assault, the shark's fighting spirit had diminished significantly, yet it still possessed enough strength to retaliate, claiming the lives of 3 sharks in mere seconds. Gritting his teeth, Yichuan swam towards the great white again. As he was about to make contact, he hurled the ice drill he had yet to use at the shark. Though powered by electricity, the drill was formidable, boring a hole into the shark's belly and attracting several other sharks to its wounds. While the great white attempted to fight back, an increasing number of sharks arrived, attacking it while dragging it deeper into the ocean. This time, let us see if you survive. Yichuan let out a cold snort, choosing not to say more. Supported by the dolphins, he swiftly returned to Turtle Island. Splash! Moments later, the gluttonous mermaid surged from the sea, furiously pounding her chest and lamenting, "Damn it! There were 7 of us when we came, and now only 3 remain." Fortunately, the great shark had been vanquished, and our vengeance has been fulfilled. One of the mermaids quickly offered words of comfort. Indeed, it serves as a form of solace. The gluttonous mermaid was rather philosophical, her gaze drawn to the sunflower seeds hanging by the door. Now, it seemed that only the sunflower seeds could soothe the wounds of my heart. Detection indicates the host has slain the megalodon. Hidden mission complete. Surprise gift pack acquired. Would you like to open it? Congratulations to the host for their first kill of an A-grade marine creature. A lucky gift pack has been awarded. Would you like to open it? Just as Yichuan was about to respond, 2 notifications from the system rang out, igniting a spark of excitement within him. Chapter 138. Roasting Sunflower Seeds, Seafood Dumpling Soup. Goodness, is this what one calls a double reward? Yichuan couldn't contain his joy and promptly declared, "Open them all." Congratulations to the host for obtaining an evolution value pack. 100 grains of rice, 6 A-grade citrus, 1 resource pack. Successfully opened. Congratulations to the host for receiving 200 kilograms of fertile black soil, 500 wheat seeds, 10 units of medium nutrient solution, 1 blueprint for an attack-type intermediate sailboat, and 1 blueprint for a medium oven. What a bountiful harvest. Yichuan couldn't help but beam with delight, especially upon discovering the blueprint for an attack-type intermediate sailboat. He only possessed a standard intermediate sailboat, and he had not anticipated the existence of an attack variant. However, with Turtle Island at his disposal, it seemed that nautical items were of little immediate use to him. The medium oven, on the other hand, would undoubtedly be a tremendous boon for a glutton. Little brother? After the gluttonous mermaid mentioned the sunflower seeds, Yichuan stood frozen in place, oscillating between seriousness and smiles, which caused her some concern. Could it be that the great shark had driven him to madness? Yichuan snapped back to reality and quickly waved his hands. No worries. The sunflower seeds are almost dried, just a half hour of gentle roasting, and they'll be ready to eat. Then allow me to undertake this honorable yet challenging task. The gluttonous mermaid exclaimed eagerly, "I hope our last meal before departure is one that I prepare myself." Absolutely no problem. Yichuan chuckled heartily and promptly shared the method for preparing the sunflower seeds with her. The gluttonous mermaid immediately began to collaborate with 2 other mermaids on the task. Yichuan, in turn, handed the wheat seeds, medium nutrient solution, fertile black soil, and rice to Friday, who scratched his head in confusion. "Brother Chuan, I haven't processed the rice you gave me last time. Are you planning to plant it or eat it? There are only 200 grains of rice. That is barely a few bites. What is the point?" Yichuan replied somewhat irately, "Of course, we're planting it. There's fertile black soil here. We just need to clear a patch of land. Should I set up the greenhouse myself then?" Friday asked with a hint of annoyance. "You understand me well." Yichuan cast an approving glance at Friday, encouraging him with words of motivation. "Do your best, and perhaps one day, I shall help you find a wife." Surprisingly, Friday shot him a glare before turning away. Yichuan couldn't help but chuckle and turned his attention to the gluttonous mermaid, who was busy frying sunflower seeds. Half an hour later, the sunflower seeds were ready. Yichuan picked one up and tasted it. It was incredibly crispy, bursting with a rich 5-spice flavor. One eager mermaid couldn't resist trying one as well and grimaced. "Boss, are you certain this is delicious? It's bitter and tough to chew. Are you foolish? You need to shell it first and eat the seeds inside." Yichuan exclaimed loudly. "Did you not see how I just ate it? This delicacy is meant to be enjoyed leisurely, not as a meal." The gluttonous mermaid smacked the other mermaid on the head, exclaiming, "You're ruining my hard work. I ought to give you a thrashing." That said, the gluttonous mermaid continued, "Brother, we are about to handle the task you entrusted to us. Do you not have a farewell banquet or something similar? It would ease our departure, and you wouldn't feel guilty, would you? All right, since you insist. We shall have a late lunch. Eat your fill before you leave." The gluttonous mermaid had already spoken her mind, and Yichuan felt it inappropriate to disagree. He promptly divided the sunflower seeds into 50-gram portions and traded them with Lu Yi and the others. Little Flying Dragon remarked, "I told you, big brother. There's no point in idly hunting giant-toothed sharks. You obviously heeded my counsel. I have already slain the giant-toothed shark." Yichuan replied directly, "It's no big deal." Wow. Little Flying Dragon trembled, utterly shocked and at a loss for words. After all, what manner of man could defeat a giant-toothed shark? Was he even human? Ultimately, Little Flying Dragon did not respond further. He would need time to process this revelation. "Brother, how much longer until you can come to get me?" Blueberry Jam sent a message, expressing, "My right eyelid has been twitching for days. I feel something ominous is about to unfold. Don't be superstitious, that's all nonsense." Yichuan promptly replied, "I have completed my tasks and am rushing to you as we speak. Do not fret. I am truly looking forward to our meeting." Blueberry Jam sent a toothy grin emoji, expressing excitement that kept her from sleeping soundly. "Try not to overthink it, otherwise you'll end up with dark circles under your eyes, and that won't be appealing," Yichuan retorted with a smirk. "Really? Is that so?" Blueberry Jam replied, alarmed. "Then I must catch up on my sleep." After chatting with a few people, Yichuan went to shell 5 or 6 king crabs, extracting the meat from the lobsters, and diced some fatty pork along with spinach. He sautéed the pork until fragrant with ginger, garlic, and scallions, then added the spinach, fresh water, and finally tossed in the crab and shrimp meat. Having just emerged from battle, Yichuan preferred not to exert himself on complex dishes, opting instead to prepare a large pot of seafood dumpling soup. For this dish, ginger served as the soul. The more ginger, the better the flavor. In this interval, Yichuan took out 5 kilograms of flour, cracked in 6 eggs accumulated over the past few days, and added a small amount of water. After kneading the mixture into a dough, he pinched off small pieces and tossed them into the boiling water. "Brother, what culinary delight is this? It appears quite uncomplicated," inquired the foodie mermaid, her curiosity piqued. "It's seafood dumpling soup," Yichuan clarified. "Though it may not be difficult to prepare, its deliciousness is undeniable. You'll see shortly." Having just emerged from battle, the foodie mermaid remarked, "I must ensure that this final meal is hearty. Rest assured, I will not disappoint you." Yichuan replied earnestly, "This dish is easy to learn. I believe that once you capture the island's master, you could have them prepare it for you." "That's a brilliant idea. Hearing you say that makes it far more appealing." The foodie mermaid exclaimed with a raised brow, suddenly cheerful. "Look what I've found." As they conversed, a mermaid suddenly surfaced, clutching a fist-sized object radiating a golden sheen. Yichuan was taken aback and, upon accepting the stone, asked in astonishment, "Where did you discover this?" "From the sea." "Of course," the mermaid responded, bewildered. "Boss, is this thing toxic?" Chapter 139. Farewell, Mermaid, Special Nutritional Liquid. Yichuan shook his head. "This is gold ore." And upon inspection, the system has already provided the assessment. Gold ore with a gold content of 7 parts per thousand. What does this imply? 1 ton of gold ore can yield at least 7 kilograms of gold. Currently, the richest gold mines on Earth can extract a mere 500 grams from a ton of ore, which is equivalent to 14 times more than that. Even selling the gold ore will yield substantial profits. After all, what is the purpose of venturing into the oceanic world if not to amass wealth? "Brother?" Noticing Yichuan's silence, the foodie mermaid quietly inquired, simultaneously gesturing rapidly to the other mermaid. "You fool. Hurry and throw that stone away." "No. This has some utility for me." Yichuan chuckled, quickly clarifying, "Where did you find it, and approximately how much is there?" "From the seabed here. Though I cannot accurately calculate its quantity. If I were to compare, there are roughly around 100,000 down below." The mermaid scratched her head. "System, immediately record the coordinates of this location," Yichuan commanded, his expression shifting with determination. "In any case, the profits I will earn here are likely to surpass those from combustible ice and phosphorus ore." "Excellent. Enough of this talk. Let us dine," Yichuan declared. His spirits lifted as he boisterously called the 3 mermaids to a nearby stone table, each receiving a large bowl of seafood dumpling soup. The aroma of the seafood dumpling soup was not particularly intense, causing the foodie mermaid to harbor initial doubts. Yet, upon tasting it, her expression transformed dramatically. "Oh, indeed. It is quite delectable. What is this called again?" "Sea dumpling soup." "Seafood dumpling soup," Yichuan reiterated with a smile. "Indeed, seafood dumpling soup." The foodie mermaid nodded enthusiastically, stating that she had already grasped the essential steps and, given the opportunity, would attempt to prepare it herself in a foreign region. "Excellent." Yichuan laughed heartily, dividing the transaction into 7 portions for Lu Yi and her companions. I see you not only master grand dishes, but also such humble home-cooked meals. Lu Yi exclaimed with a grin, initially believing she knew enough about him, only to find that he perpetually astonished her. Absolutely, Yichuan replied with a chuckle. You have merely scratched the surface of my abilities. So, how can I delve deeper into your world? Lu Yi inquired with a curious expression. Shall I get to know you inside and out? Let us eat. Yichuan responded, momentarily speechless, and dared not continue the conversation. He promptly took a large bowl and joined the three mermaids for a meal. Half an hour later, as twilight descended, the foodie mermaid spoke up. Brother, it's getting late. It's time to bid farewell. Once you reach the other side, don't worry about anything. Just confront the island master. Yichuan advised, wishing to avoid future conflicts should they become adversaries. Rest assured, we will ensure everything is crystal clear. The foodie mermaid snapped her fingers. I shall escort you. After pondering for a moment, Yichuan donned his diving suit and swiftly followed the dolphins beneath the waves. At a depth of approximately 300 meters, Yichuan spotted a fissure over a meter long, extending downward and widening the further he gazed. This crack was entirely transparent, and without the close guidance of the foodie mermaid, he would have never noticed it. The foodie mermaid waved at Yichuan, slipped through the fissure, and vanished from his sight. Returning to the surface, Yichuan couldn't help but feel a tinge of nostalgia. The mermaids had transformed from foes to allies, even joining forces to defeat a massive great white shark. Their sudden departure left him somewhat reluctant. As night fully enveloped the sky, just 2 hours after their meal, Yichuan decided against dinner, opting instead for a cup of light tea and a handful of sunflower seeds while watching a film. Around 10 o'clock in the evening, he squeezed 3 A-grade citrus fruits to prepare a glass of juice before heading to bed, sipping it while perusing the public chatroom. This is my final message. I've been bitten by a 4-legged lizard, and now my body is swollen at least twice over. I doubt I'll survive the night. Is the 4-legged lizard venomous? I was planning to break the ice and catch a few for dinner, and now that idea has gone awry? Isn't that obvious? Even the cannibal fish had big shots selling them, yet no one trades in 4-legged lizards. Don't you understand what that implies? Could we focus on the main issue here? This young man is on the brink of death. If anyone possesses an antidote, could you not step forward to assist? Saving a life is worth more than building a 7-story pagoda. In such a place, do you truly expect compassion? You're thinking too much. Regardless, I believe that assistance should be rendered in times of adversity. If help is to be offered, we shall not extend ours. Let things unfold as they may. Observing these messages, Yichuan remained disinterested, merely shaking his head slightly. After finishing his juice, he retired to bed. Today marked a moment when Yichuan was closest to death. Although he had regained some strength after consuming high-grade freshwater, the mental fatigue soon lulled him into slumber. It was not until the sun had risen high in the sky that Yichuan finally awoke, feeling refreshed and invigorated. He stretched languidly and stepped out of his room, only to behold a mass of dark clouds slowly drifting towards him. Could it be that snow was imminent once more? After contemplating this, Yichuan promptly approached his tablet and glanced at the public chatroom. It appeared that everyone was still engrossed in discussions regarding the fate of the island's master from the previous day, seemingly oblivious to the dark clouds. Or perhaps the clouds had only just materialized and had yet to capture their attention. Yichuan chose not to dwell on this further and declared, Sign in. Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have earned 1,000 evolution points, 3 A-grade citrus fruits, and 1 lucky blind box. Note, there is a chance to obtain crafting blueprints, seeds, or fruits. Another lucky blind box had been opened, which sparked a flicker of anticipation within Yichuan. He smiled and promptly commanded, Open the blind box. Blind box opening in progress. Congratulations, host. You have received 1 exclusive nutrient solution for the miraculous tree species. The system's voice momentarily left Yichuan in a state of astonishment. An exclusive nutrient solution for the miraculous tree species? This seemed to be the first time he had obtained something related to the miraculous tree. He pondered what might transpire upon its application. Gazing at the peculiar tree, which had reached over 30 meters in height, yet ceased to grow, Yichuan eagerly poured the entire nutrient solution onto it. Chapter 140. A blizzard approaches? No reaction? After waiting a few minutes, the tree remained unchanged, devoid of any response. Yichuan even suspected that the solution was either counterfeit or expired. System, are you truly providing me with fraudulent products? He lamented. Just as Yichuan was about to leave, he suddenly halted, noticing cracks forming along the trunk, resembling a hard shell. In an instant, the once slender trunk had split open, growing from the thickness of an infant's arm to that of an adult man's arm, visibly expanding. Moreover, symmetrical small protrusions had emerged on either side of the trunk, appearing every 40 centimeters, extending upward. What were these peculiar formations? Yichuan curiously examined the tree, feeling somewhat bewildered. When he touched it, the surface was remarkably hard, even when he pushed with force. The 11-centimeter diameter trunk remained utterly immovable. How could it be so resilient? Nevertheless, Yichuan chose not to overthink it. He was the type of person who preferred to set aside perplexing questions for the time being, confident that the truth would eventually reveal itself in due course. Subsequently, Yichuan opened the resource gift pack and the evolution value pack, yielding modest gains. Noticing that it was already nearing 10 o'clock, he decided to forego breakfast. Upon returning to his room, he glanced at the super tablet, where Blueberry Jam had sent a message. "Brother, have you seen that ominous cloud? It appears to be approaching my location, and it looks quite frightening." Yichuan replied, "I have seen it. It seems like a heavy snowfall is imminent." Blueberry Jam responded, "I am uncertain, but the wind blowing from that cloud feels remarkably warm. Does this not suggest that this cold weather is about to come to an end?" There had been signs of warming prior, but the exact timing remained unclear. Yichuan reassured her, "Do not worry. I will be able to come over in a few days." Blueberry Jam immediately sent a cute emoji in response. Yichuan then glanced at the public chat room, where someone had finally noticed the ominous cloud. "Wow, I just realized that there is a massive cloud in the north, seemingly drifting slowly toward us. This is undoubtedly going to be an exceptionally terrifying blizzard." Another user retorted, "Are you still asleep? What nonsense are you talking? There are no clouds." A third chimed in, "On the vast ocean, the fierce winds are gathering clouds. Are you a seagull? You must be Zhao Laoan. I am discussing serious matters here, and you seem unwell." Yet another user dismissed the claims. "Enough of this. It is clear skies here, no clouds or seagulls. Even if you are attempting to attract attention, there is no need to concoct such stories." Reading through the chat, Yichuan pressed his lips together. It indeed appeared that a significant blizzard was on the horizon, and the slow movement of the cloud was what had led some to notice it while others remained oblivious. Perhaps he should fetch Blueberry Jam before the storm arrived. Considering the distance and the previous deviation from the course, he calculated that there were still over 400 nautical miles to Blueberry Jam's location. The hovercraft could travel a maximum of 150 nautical miles, but if he estimated it at 100 nautical miles, there remained 300 nautical miles. The turtle's current speed was 10 nautical miles per hour, which meant it would take approximately 30 hours to arrive, allowing him to reach her before the impending blizzard. After feeding the turtle 600 pounds of krill, providing the sheep and chickens with some fresh water, and giving the chicks breadcrumbs while adding 2 pounds of krill to the feed trough, he finally returned to his room. Under the current circumstances, everything had become increasingly challenging. Even Yichuan, after several days of accumulation, only had 5 resource boxes, all obtained from dolphins breaking through the ice. The other island masters would likely struggle to catch even a single resource box. With such consumption, it was only a matter of time before they ran out of supplies. However, this did not concern Yichuan. For these future competitors, assisting them was a matter of kindness, while withholding help was merely a matter of principle, an uncomplicated issue. After munching on some sunflower seeds for a while, Yichuan promptly prepared a broth infused with scallions, ginger, and spices, adding salt, soy sauce, and sugar to create a flavorful mixture. He then transformed the pork into 8 portions, each weighing 2 pounds, and marinated them for approximately half an hour. After applying chili powder, he placed the meat into the preheated oven, setting it to a high temperature of 200 degrees Celsius, knowing that it would require just half an hour to cook. At that moment, the trio of birds, which had been circling high above, returned, with Wang Kai incessantly calling out to Yichuan. "What is going on?" Yichuan inquired in confusion. Just then, Wang Yun swooped down towards him. Yichuan understood immediately, leaping up to grasp Wang Yun's foot, and was lifted into the sky. After flying nearly 50 nautical miles, Yichuan finally spotted an island. However, this island appeared to be devoid of human presence, yet it was lush and expansive, covering tens of thousands of square meters, significantly larger than Turtle Island. Goodness, how could such a vast island exist here? Yichuan marveled to himself. "System, is there anyone on this island?" "Natural island." The system promptly clarified, explaining that it possessed its own ecological system, with a chance of discovering abundant mineral resources, albeit with considerable risks. How could a natural island emerge in the novice area? Yichuan questioned, astonished. Following the changes in the novice area, all rules have been disrupted, leading to the formation of new, unknown regulations. The system responded once more. "Surely, the duration of the novice period cannot be shortened or extended." Yichuan asked incredulously. If the initial novice period had proceeded normally, his developmental level would already equate to that of a novice island master after 5 to 6 months. Naturally, Whether the time frame was shortened or not held little significance for him. His greatest fear was an extension, if the new rules deemed the novice island masters below standard, leading to an elongation of the novice period. It would certainly not be enjoyable. After all, during the novice phase, the area was entirely isolated, impervious even to artificial intervention. Would there be any novice island masters left at all? If he could establish contact with